Chapter 314. Afterimage. The heart of the Black Hawk Essence Spirit expert, who had attacked, was instantly startled. This move seemed to have a feeling that it had missed, yet it did not feel like it had missed. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. And for him, it was extremely peculiar. Careful, the Black Tiger Origin Spirit expert, that was overseeing above, also cried out in shock. Instantly, he saw the afterimages that scattered around him instantly transform into sharp weapons, directly binding towards his body. Accurately speaking, at this instant, it directly bound the Black Eagle Origin Spirit. Boom! This Black Eagle Origin Spirit was instantly thrown onto the ground, and was even pulled up into the air, crashing into the wall. Pung! Even a hole was smashed into the wall. Its mental energy quickly break free. Seeing this scene, the Black Tiger Origin Spirit expert instantly roared loudly. But now, it was already over. On the body of the Black Eagle Origin Spirit, one could see a surge of energy currently burning brightly. Boom! The black flames caused this Black Eagle to instantly become a Fire Eagle. Black Yao fire instantly spread out, and almost without the blink of an eye, it directly burned the body. Burning on the body, there was instantly a loud rumble. That Yuan spirit struggled to land on the ground, in great pain, rolling about on the ground. Even if the people at the side wanted to help, they did not know how to do so. They could only fiercely clench their teeth at this moment. Kill that Li Zongjio first. However, the moment he turned his head, he discovered that there was an additional figure beside him. The young man wore gray clothes, his gaze calm and composed. When he appeared behind the Black Tiger Origin Spirit expert, he did not even have the slightest reaction. If he did not turn his head and see, he would not have known that Li Zongjio had already appeared behind him. What a demonic movement technique! The Black Tiger Origin Spirit expert was secretly shocked. Li Zongjio did not give him too much time to hesitate, directly waving his fist, instantly punching onto the body of this person. Pung! However, this expert's entire body was filled with Yuan Qi, and he actually withstood this punch. Li Zongjio's figure also continuously retreated a few steps. After his feet landed, that surge of vigorous energy also spread out from under his feet. Who? I am a dignified Origin ancestor. How could I possibly be defeated by a Origin general like you? That Black Tiger Primordial Spirit expert instantly laughed loudly. At this moment, he also knew that Li Zongjio's strength was merely at the Yuan general level. Thus, there was no need to worry at all. Wouldn't this kind of trash be easily crushed? Immediately, the Black Tiger Primordial Spirit expert roared. Although his companion had died mysteriously, the Black Tiger Primordial Spirit expert was still confident that he could defeat Li Zongjio. If he successfully completed the mission, not only would he be able to complete the mission, he would also be able to obtain more rewards. Li Zongjio swung his arm. He wanted to kill the person in front of him with one move, but he stopped at this moment. He only used his fist to hit the opponent. At the same time, he also exposed his strength, and let the opponent know that Li Zongjio was not that terrifying. Therefore, in the heart of the Black Tiger Essence Spirit expert, his confidence rose greatly. Black Tiger Steel's heart. The Black Tiger Primordial Spirit behind him immediately expanded rapidly, and landed on that person's body. When this hand reached towards Li Zongjio, it had already turned into a tiger's claw. This tiger's claw seemed to have turned into a huge monster, as it slammed onto Li Zongjio's body. Li Zongjio crossed his arms in front of his body to block. However, the moment the opponent's strength increased, Li Zongjio's entire body was smashed away. Bang! His bones should have been completely shattered. Feeling the power of his fist just now, that person was extremely pleased. To be able to easily beat Li Zongjio into such a state, and reap Li Zongjio's life, was as easy as flipping his hand. However, the scene that appeared in the next moment made his jaw drop. In a move that concentrated the power of his essence spirit, to cripple Li Zongjio was simply an incomparably easy matter. However, Li Zongjio patted the dust off his body and stood up again, looking as if nothing had happened. How is this possible? Li Zongjio seemed to be in a daze as he looked at various parts of his palm, as if checking his body to see if there were any wounds. You don't even know if there are any wounds on your body? You're actually looking everywhere, looking everywhere. Are you trying to provoke me? You're actually fine. Hey, is this all you've got? Li Zongjio looked at the opponent with some dissatisfaction. Being able to land a punch on the famous evil lord of his previous life was already enough to make you famous. However, it was a pity that the current Li Zongjio had yet to become the evil lord of this generation. Furthermore, the person in front of him might not be able to live until then. You have a death wish. Li Zongjio actually dared to boast shamelessly and humiliate him. How could he endure such humiliation? Black Tiger Demonic Metal Break. The power of the Black Tiger coiled around its entire body. At this moment it released all of its strength. It was like a gigantic beast swallowing clouds and blowing out fog. It flipped over and pounced towards Li Zongjio. This horrifying roar of a tiger spread out across a radius of 100 miles. This was the figure of a black tiger that reached the heavens. Dozens of miles away, San Tong was walking back when he suddenly sensed a terrifying aura permeating the air. He was shocked. Wasn't this the direction he had come from? Could the Bloodstrike Guard have come knocking on his door as soon as he left? Killing a few people wasn't a big deal for the Bloodstrike Guard. Even if they killed someone in Royal City, as long as they weren't caught, they would still have a chance to settle the matter. Even if they were caught, they would still be able to pull some strings. Given Qingyuan Manor's reputation, there wouldn't be any major problems. Damn it! San Tong immediately retreated the way he had come, and used his body to flee frantically. Boom! San Tong's body shot up. However, the situation didn't look good for him. Some of the special envoys in charge of this area in the city immediately chased after the figure that had shot up into the sky. Swoosh! Swoosh! In the courtyard, Li Zongjio stretched out his hand in the face of the enraged black tiger Yuan spirit. Immediately, a terrifying force spread out from his hand. Die! The black day's flames engulfed the Yuan spirit in an instant as the terrifying force wrapped around his body. No! The power of the black day's flames pierced the Yuan ancestor's soul. If the Yuan ancestor continued to endure this terrifying torture by relying on his own tenacious willpower, he would be in pain for a while longer. Therefore, the power of the Black Day's flames could be said to be fully displayed by the Yuan ancestor. Chapter 315. Such a powerhouse had finally suffered a mental breakdown. No one could withstand the pain that came from the depths of their souls. A moment later, a pile of ashes appeared in the courtyard. The first person to arrive at the manor was Yao Lei. Yao Lei's residence was close to Li Zongjio's. When she felt the strong fluctuation, she quickly rushed over. Beside Yao Lei, there was a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man's eyes were filled with spirit. He was not a simple person. When the two of them landed in the manor, the middle-aged man first took a look at the surrounding environment. There weren't many traces of a battle, but the fluctuations in the air were the aura of an Yuan spirit. Clearly, at least 2 Sky Origin Ancestor-level powerhouses had died there. Li Zongjio, what happened? Li Zongjio looked a little battered. After all, he had been sent flying, so there was some dust and mud on his body. However, he still looked calm and composed. There wasn't the slightest trace of panic on his face. It's nothing. 2 bandits barged in and I killed them. Li Zongjio said faintly. Bandits barged in? How dare there be bandits in Royal City? It was simply unbelievable. However, it was good that Li Zongjio was fine. Otherwise, they would have thought that this house had offended someone who had come knocking on their door. As long as you're fine, as long as you're fine. By the way, this is my Uncle Wu Tung. Uncle Wu Tung, this is Li Zongjio, the one who won first place in Black North Metropolis. Greetings, young Master Li. Wu Tung cupped his hands and greeted Li Zongjio. Before he had come, he had made a trip to Black North Jumbo City. The Union Master of the Black North Jumbo City, Han Qinglu, had praised Li Zongjio greatly. Li Zongjio was the only person in the manor who had witnessed the strength of these 2 Sky Origin powerhouses. Either the 2 Sky Origin powerhouses would kill each other, or Li Zongjio would eliminate them all by himself. If that was really the case, then Li Zongjio's strength was really terrifying. The 2 of them were less than 500 meters apart. If this Sky Origin level powerhouse unleashed any fluctuations, He would be able to rush over within a few minutes. Wu Tung and the rest had only realized that they were nearby when the Sky Origin Ancestor powerhouse had let out a roar. However, by the time they had rushed over, they had already seen 2 corpses. In other words, Li Zongjio did not use much time to kill them. Thinking of this, Wu Tung was secretly shocked. Although he wasn't weak, it wouldn't be easy for him to finish off his opponents so quickly in a 1-on-2 situation. Li Zongjio nodded slowly. I don't like to be disturbed. If you want to come again, knock on the door first. Li Zongjio glanced at Yao Lei as he spoke. Yao Lei and Wu Tung had flown in earlier, which was no different from forcibly barging in. Although Yao Lei might have been worried about Li Zongjio's situation, Li Zongjio didn't need to worry. Hence, he had said this directly. Yao Lei's face froze. Li Zongjio was actually blaming her. If she wasn't worried about him, she wouldn't have come to such a lousy place. She couldn't wait to stretch out her leg and trample on Li Zongjio before ruthlessly trampling on him. This shameless person. Just as they were talking, 2 more figures descended from the sky. Their auras immediately spread out and locked onto everyone in the manor. One person was in front, while the other was behind. The person at the back was on guard at all times. He had seen many desperados. If he was subdued by the other party in an instant, it would be too embarrassing. The person in front took out his warrant first. Special envoy from King City, please cooperate with the investigation. The special envoy from King City had arrived. The special envoy's duty was to monitor the big and small problems in the entire city. If there were any murders, people fighting in the city, or people setting fire somewhere, the special envoy would also have to take action. Therefore, he was also quite busy. The manor Li Zongjio was in was also within the jurisdiction of these 2 men. When they felt the fluctuation, they immediately rushed over. They wanted to catch them in the act. But now it seemed that the battle was already over. Which one of you is the owner of this manor? The special envoy's gaze swept across the 3 of them. I am, Li Zongjio said calmly. Although the special envoy had the right, there were also many restrictions. As long as Li Zongjio did not break the law, they could not do anything. They could not even take action. Li Zongjio killed the 2 men in his own manor. Hence, Li Zongjio was completely within his rights and was not breaking the law. Was there a fight here just now? As he spoke, his gaze also looked at the 2 corpses at the side. Although they were charred, it was obvious at a glance. These 2 men broke into my manor and said they wanted to kill me. So I killed them. Is that against the law? Li Zongjio said calmly. The special envoy wanted to see something from Li Zongjio's eyes. However, he found that Li Zongjio's eyes were extremely calm and did not reveal any information. Just this bit of strength was enough to shock the special envoy. He was so young but so calm. Ordinary people would not be so calm when being interrogated by the special envoy. If it is really as you said, then it is not against the law. Then, who are these 2 people to you? As he spoke, he looked at Yao Lei and Wu Tung. We are the neighbors behind. We heard some noise and came to take a look, Wu Tung explained. Boss. Just as the special envoy was interrogating and taking down the records, he heard the person who was checking the corpses behind him shout. After hearing this, he immediately rushed to the corpses. The storage ring was still in that person's hand. Most importantly, it seemed to be a temporary storage ring. It could even be said that it was effortless to open it. Hence, the items inside could be easily taken out. The reason why that person was called over by his boss was that he had made an important discovery. In his hand, there was a stack of bank notes from the bank. 500,000 purple yuan. A pass. The signature on the pass was actually the mark of Yi Guxing's manor. These things should have been kept properly, instead of being carried around like this. After all, even if they were caught, they would have fewer excuses to defend themselves. Even if they committed suicide, there would be no evidence. What could be found from a dead person who could not be searched? Chapter 316. However, this pass was enough to prove many things. The most direct thing was that Yi Guxing had hired a hitman, and the 500,000 purple yuan was the commission for hiring the hitman. Obviously, they had failed this time. Even the few of them hadn't thought that Li Zongjio's strength would be so strong that they wouldn't even have the chance to escape. Investigate the other person. If this matter involved Yi Guxing's mansion, it would be a serious matter. It was not something that special envoys of their level could handle. Even though everyone was equal, if something were to happen in Yi Guxing's residence, these special envoys would have to knock on the door politely. After all, the head of these special envoys was once a disciple of the Yi family. All the major forces in Monarch City were inextricably linked with each other. At the same time, they also found a 500,000 purple yuan note and the pass from the other person's body. The head of the special envoys put away the items and asked his subordinates to put the corpse in 2 black bags. They took it away directly. He came to Li Zhongjiu and said, "We have a general understanding of the situation here. Do you have anything to add? What will happen if you know who the mastermind is?" Li Zhongjiu looked at the special envoys and said. Li Zhongjiu had seen the scene just now. At the same time, the matter of the past could not be hidden under Li Zhongjiu's mental strength. Yi Guxing's mansion. He was really bold. However, who is this guy? He actually made the 2 special envoys turn pale. If we find out who the mastermind is, we will handle it according to the law. Li Zhongjiu glanced at the special envoys who spoke. Handle it according to the law. He was afraid that there were some people who could not be dealt with even by the law. All right, you can leave. Li Zhongjiu waved his hand. He had just taken over the manor, so Li Zhongjiu didn't have the time to set up some yuan rune arrays. That was why these people were so arrogant as to descend from the sky. If Li Zhongjiu's reputation in his previous life was here, then no one would dare to be so arrogant. If they didn't give him face, then Li Zhongjiu would have crippled them in minutes. However, he couldn't be so arrogant now. But what were they doing behind the scenes? Li Zhongjiu was not going to let go of Yi Guxing. The special envoy came quickly and left quickly. After finding some evidence, he left immediately. After all, they were all in the city. Now that there were so many things in front of them, and there was evidence that could directly prove that Yi Guxing had instigated the murder, they had to take these things back and destroy the evidence. What a joke! If they really investigated the young master of the Yi family, these people, as well as the families behind them, could only sit and wait for death. Who is Yi Guxing? Li Zhongjiu asked Yao Lei. Yi Guxing. That's the 3rd young master of the Yi family? Why do you know him? Yao Lei said subconsciously. It was obvious that people like Yi Guxing were famous, and ordinary people would not be able to make a move on them. Wu Ting seemed to have thought of something and quickly said, "Young Master Li, the patriarch of the Yi family is the head of the justice department of the dynasty. He has great power in the city. Almost half of the people's secrets are in his hands. You should think twice. I still have some things to do. You can leave now," Li Zhongjiu said. Of course, he wanted them to leave. Although such a thing happened, Li Zhongjiu was fine. Moreover, the special envoy had intervened. Even if there were bandits, they wouldn't dare to come again. I didn't expect that the great Li Zhongjiu, would be casually called out by an unknown kid. Looks like the name of evil lord has to appear in advance. Then Li Zhongjiu's eyes flashed with an evil light. In order to protect the family, Li Zhongjiu had been silent for too long. He had even given in to most of the matters to the extent that he had given in. In that case, it would be better to start with the Yi family. Santong's figure flew over from afar. He had sped up along the way, but now it seemed like everything was over. Your cultivation hasn't broken through to the origin ancestor realm. If you don't break through, you won't be able to catch up the next time, Li Zhongjiu said faintly. Obviously, even if Santong returned, he would only be giving away one more head. Li Zhongjiu's words were very harsh, but Santong felt that it was true. Li Zhongjiu was right. Indeed, he needed to continue improving his strength. Otherwise, if he encountered a strong enemy, it would be difficult to escape, let alone help. Out of the 6 assassins, 2 had died, and the mission had not been completed. When Yi Guxing heard the news, he was so angry that he smashed everything in the house. Anything valuable was smashed to the ground. Just the broken pieces on the ground were already priceless. Young master, don't be angry. One of the maids that Yi Guxing usually doted on went up to comfort him, but Yi Guxing gave her a backhanded slap, sending her flying. With a smack, She fell to the ground, her face swollen. At the same time, a trace of blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. "Get lost!" Yi Guxing roared. The maid did not dare to stay for long. She covered her face and left immediately. The assassins who went to assassinate Bei Holiang did not succeed. They did not even have the time to take action. Bei Holiang knew that he was in trouble recently. Therefore, he hid in the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor and did not dare to appear on the streets for the time being. Other than the palace, the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor was the safest place. The two assassins were only there to test the waters. However, when they saw that Li Zongjie was only a teenager, they could not help but want to take action first. After all, this matter could not be delayed. If they entered the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor tomorrow, they would not know when to take action. It just so happened that Yao Lei, San Tong, and the others had already left. It would be a waste if they didn't take action against such a good opportunity. However, it was only when he made his move that he realized what true regret was. It was too late to say anything now. Night fell. Yi Guxing knew that the mission had failed so early. Naturally, it was because his subordinates had informed him. Although Yi Guxing was the third young master of the Yi clan, he did not live in the Yi clan's mansion. Instead, he moved out early. He only needed to return to the Yi clan for a gathering every month. Chapter 317. That night, Yi Guxing, who had nowhere to vent his frustrations, summoned the dozen or so beautiful maids to the courtyard. The guards who were guarding the courtyard also consciously retreated and stood guard outside the courtyard. No one was allowed to get close to the courtyard. Today, I'm going to relieve myself properly. Yi Guxing took off his outer robes and pounced on the maids in front of him. The maids did not dodge, but stood where they were, waiting for Yi Guxing's arrival. Instantly, the courtyard was filled with waves of noise. If anyone were to witness this scene, it would be a grand occasion. After an hour of lovemaking, Yi Guxing, who was covered in sweat, sat on top of a maid. There were maids around him massaging and relaxing him. "Get Boss Qian here!" Yi Guxing shouted at the outside of the courtyard. Logically speaking, there should be some response to Yi Guxing's order. However, after a long while, there was still no response. This made Yi Guxing unhappy. Damn it, are these guards looking to die? Just as Yi Guxing stood up, a voice rang out. He immediately felt a gust of cold wind blowing past his crotch. Feeling the cold wind, Yi Guxing could not help but close his legs. In a flash, he saw a figure standing on the fake mountain in his courtyard. When he saw the figure, Yi Guxing thought that he was seeing things, because he was too tired. When he regained his senses, he smelled a refreshing fragrance. Yi Guxing widened his eyes again. He realized that there was a figure standing in front of him. This person was wearing gray clothes and had a small and skinny figure. He stood under the shadow of the fake mountain. However, his eyes were emitting a terrifying and bright light. Who are you? Yi Guxing subconsciously covered his lower body. However, he heard a disdainful sneer from the person. Heh, it's only been an hour. I wanted to let you enjoy it a little longer. Li Zongjie said calmly and walked forward. After walking out of the shadow, Yi Guxing could see Li Zongjie's face clearly. However, Yi Guxing realized that he did not know this Li Zongjie. Just a second ago, he thought that some young master was joking with him. But now, it seemed like someone had really invaded his courtyard. If someone had invaded, where were all the guards? Where were the people who were secretly protecting him? Why hadn't they appeared yet? Yi Guxing was shocked. How did Li Zongjie appear in front of him? What do you want? Seems like you don't know me. Li Zongjie said calmly. His eyes flashed with a playful look. This morning, you sent people to kill me. Hearing Li Zongjie's words, Yi Guxing realized that the person in front of him was Li Zongjie from the countryside. Although he had never seen Li Zongjie before, it was impossible for a mere candidate from Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor to have the ability to kill someone in the royal restaurant without being discovered. Therefore, Yi Guxing did not suspect that it was Li Zongjie who did it. It was one of the young masters in King City, who was on the same level as him. Because there was no evidence, there was nothing he could do. Since the other party had made a move, there was nothing he could do. The reason why he wanted to kill Li Zongjie was just to vent his anger. Whether Li Zongjio died or not did not affect him at all. However, when Li Zongjio stood in front of him, the whole situation changed. He did not know how Li Zongjio appeared. From the looks of it, Li Zongjio could enter his courtyard without alerting anyone and appear in front of him. This meant that he had the ability to kill Zhang Hexuan. You killed Zhang Hexuan? Yi Guxing was not stupid. He understood in an instant. Initially, he just wanted to find someone to vent his anger on. However, he did not expect to find the culprit so coincidentally. After knowing who the culprit was, Yi Guxing was no longer anxious. He calmly found a long robe and put it on. The maids around him had already fainted. You are very capable. How about this, you follow me from now on? You killed Zhang Hexuan and caused me to suffer losses. I won't take revenge on you. Yi Guxing said calmly. Yi Guxing's lips curled into a confident smile. So what if Li Zongjio was capable? Yi Guxing was so arrogant that he had offended many people. There were many people who could sneak into Yi Guxing's residence. After all, the security here was not strong. However, with the name of the young master of the Yi family hanging here, no one would dare to mess around. As long as the Yi family did not fall, Yi Guxing could continue to be so arrogant. No one would dare to find trouble with him. Did this Li Zongjio want to kill him to silence him? Even so, he had to consider the consequences carefully. The consequences of killing Yi Guxing were not something Li Zongjio could bear. If you kill me, your entire family will be bathed in blood. Looking at Li Zongjio's silence, Yi Guxing continued. In fact, he even sat down and looked at Li Zongjio, waiting for him to surrender. After all, there was not a single person in the royal city who did not know of Yi Guxing's background. With such strength, no one would dare to mess around. If Yi Guxing were to die today, even if they had to flip the entire Holy Flame royal city upside down, they would have to find the culprit. Without a doubt, the power that would be used would be terrifying. During this process, many people would also suffer. Yes, I've left my last words. This is the privilege of being the third young master of the Yi family. Why am I such a nice person? Li Zongjio said. He then took out the mysterious thunder hammer from his sleeves. This thunder Xian hammer was very useful in silencing people. It didn't have any markings on it. When this thunder Xian hammer was used, it was just a blunt blow. It could cause a lot of damage. Therefore, there was no trace of it at all. It was not a weapon with any special properties. Therefore, when Li Zongjio walked out and saw the mysterious lightning hammer in his hand, Yi Guxing's expression changed. Just as the other party's expression changed, and he was about to say something, Li Zongjio had already lifted the hammer and swung it down. He wanted to channel his energy and escape. However, when Yi Guxing tried to circulate his elemental energy, he suddenly realized that the energy in his body had become empty. There was no way for him to concentrate on controlling the elemental energy. At this moment, Li Zongjio had already taken a step forward. Then, the mysterious lightning hammer smashed down with a loud bang. This hammer did not land on Yi Guxing's head, but between his legs. Yi Guxing was sitting down at this moment. Hence, the location of the hammer was extremely accurate. Chapter 318. He trembled all over. He had never experienced this kind of pain in his life. He wanted to cry out, but he found that he could not make any sound. His mouth was blocked by a ball of cotton. Oh, is this the diamond bird? It didn't explode. Li Zongjio looked at the area between his legs. There was no egg or blood flying out. However, when he looked at the mark on his hammer, he realized that he had smashed it into pieces. The dignified third young master of the Yi clan had actually been severed by someone. This was simply more painful than killing him. It was even a kind of naked humiliation to the Yi clan, directly stepping on the Yi clan's head. Li Zongjio's hammer made Yi Guxing realize the power of these country bumpkins. You people, where does your sense of superiority come from? Do you have an extra leg? If you do, you should take it out. Li Zongjio laughed disdainfully. Yi Guxing had just recovered from the pain. After all, he was a martial artist. However, even after he woke up, he could not accept the result. Yi Guxing sat on the stool. He did not even dare to lift his robe to look at his lower body. He just stared at Li Zongjio with his eyes wide open. You. Are you serious? Let me go. Tell me, what do you want? I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. This is my storage ring. There are 5,000 vitality stones in it. I'll give you 20 million purple yuan. I'll give it all to you. Don't kill me. I promise I won't investigate you. I just beg you, let me go and get treated now. Although this kind of injury was rare, it was not difficult to treat it. Therefore, as long as there was a chance, there was still a chance. Oh, Li Zongjio took the storage ring from the other party. Although money was a worldly possession, the more the better. Li Zongjio didn't mind having too many of these things. Take out as much as you have. Furthermore, this kid actually had 5,000 vitality stones in his hands. Previously, the Snow Elixir sect had brought so many people to excavate the ruins. Although the level of the ruins wasn't too high, the amount of vitality stones they had found was limited. However, Yi Guxing had a total of 5,000 vitality stones on him. This was shocking. Even Li Zongjio could not help but be tempted. Given Li Zongjio's strength, he could break through to the origin ancestor level in a matter of minutes if he refined these vitality stones. When his strength reached the origin ancestor level, he would basically not be afraid of anyone at the ancestor level. Even if a Yuan monarch level powerhouse came, Li Zongjio might not necessarily be unable to fight back. Therefore, Li Zongjio accepted all of these items without any hesitation. Is this worth this much? Li Zongjio said disdainfully. Yi Guxing seemed to have found a ray of hope when he saw Li Zongjio accept his things. As long as he could use money to buy something, there would naturally be no problem. In his opinion, there was still a chance. Stall for time. The longer this dragged on, the more beneficial it would be for him. The experts of the Yi family would definitely come knocking on his door. Furthermore, the special envoys in the city would also sweep across the sky from time to time. Once they discovered that something was wrong with Yi Guxing's residence, they would definitely come over. Then he would be saved. Also I have collected many vitality weapons. They are hidden in the treasury of the Yi family. Give me some time, and I will definitely retrieve them and hand them over to you. There is also a level 5 vitality weapon in my collection. I received it when I was an adult. Its power is boundless. A level 5 vitality weapon could only be used by Yuan monarch level powerhouses. A weapon that could unleash its power would definitely be envied by everyone. The reason he had kept such a level of vitality weapon was because Yi Guxing had yet to master it. A level 5 vitality weapon was indeed very tempting. Yi Guxing might not be able to control it, but that did not mean that Li Zongjio would not be able to do so. Given Li Zongjio's strength, even if it was a grade 6 Yuan weapon that was not the best of the best, he would still be able to control it. However, this vitality weapon was in the Yi family's courtyard. For Li Zongjio, it was equivalent to not having it. Having done this, Li Zongjio naturally did not intend to let Yi Guxing leave. Of course, he did not intend to kill Yi Guxing so quickly. Forget it. Looking at you, you don't have anything else to offer. As he spoke, Li Zongjio also smashed his iron hammer towards Yi Guxing's knee. Bang! Bang! The two hammers landed. Yi Guxing's knee was smashed once again as he fell to the ground. Originally, Yi Guxing should have had some sort of vitality weapon on him. That way, he would not have been defeated so quickly by Li Zongjio. However, Yi Guxing was too confident. He was confident that no one in Monarch City would dare to touch him. Therefore, he had removed all his vitality weapons when he was having fun. He did not want these things to affect his performance. However, it was precisely this behavior that allowed Li Zongjio to take him down easily. Close your eyes and enjoy. Tomorrow morning, you will find that you are already dead. Li Zongjio's voice was transmitted into Yi Guxing's ears like a ghost. Yi Guxing's consciousness gradually dissipated as this voice rang out. He closed his eyes and fell into a deep sleep. Blood flowed continuously from the wound. Even if one was cultivating this Yuan energy, when the blood in one's body flowed continuously, and the wound did not heal, one would know that one's death had arrived. However, Yi Guxing could not wake up. The entire courtyard was shrouded in a gloomy and terrifying atmosphere as a faint mist rose. Tomorrow, there would be major news that the third young master of the Yi family had actually died from bleeding and shock because his family jewels had been destroyed. Such a tragic death had thoroughly infuriated the Yi clan. The Yi family was a big tree with deep roots, but at the same time, a big tree would attract the wind. Hanging on this big tree, it was inevitable that they would be blown away by the wind. Among the powerful families there would naturally be opponents. A bloody storm was brewing. Li Zhongjie, who had caused this to happen, was like a person taking a stroll in the courtyard of the Yi family. In the basement of the Yi family, there were 2 grade 7 Yuan ancestor experts who had also been sucked dry. Only skin and bones were left. It was quite tragic. Other than that, the guards of the Yi family had also died in the same way. After a round, Li Zhongjie did not find anything special. Taking advantage of the darkness of the night, he disappeared from Yi Guxing's residence. After a round of looting, in the end, besides some yuan weapons, there was also a deposit of 50 million purple yuan. There were close to 6 million purple yuan. There were also 5,000 yuan stones. This was not much, but it was enough for Li Zhongjie to squander for a while. When the sky gradually brightened, an incomparably loud scream rang out from the backyard of Yi Guxing's residence. It pierced the silence of the morning. Chapter 319. For the Sacred Flame Royal City today. What broke the silence was a terrifying piece of news. Yi clan's third young master Yi Guxing. In his own home, his lower body was smashed, his knees were broken, and he died tragically in the courtyard. Anyone who heard this news would shout impossible. That was the third young master of the Yi clan Yi Guxing. Even Z was famous among the hedonistic sons. It was said that a few days ago, he had lost an invaluable coral yuan stone in a bet. The formation of such a vitality stone would take thousands of years, or even tens of thousands of years to form. Yi Guxing, on the other hand, was killed. Among the group of royal city's special envoys, a storm was brewing. One should know that these special envoys would not be able to escape the blame when the storm blew over. At this moment, the imperial court was definitely going to be turned upside down. As for what exactly was going on, the people outside naturally had no way of knowing. However, Beihou Liang, who was hiding in Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, after hearing this news, he was also in disbelief. It was too shocking. He had already received news that Yi Guxing had sent someone to deal with him. That was why he was hiding in Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, not daring to go out easily. However, he did not expect this to happen. In less than 2 days, Yi Guxing had actually died. The person who dared to kill Yi Guxing in the city must be someone who was on par with the Yi clan. Otherwise, no one would have such strength, and they would definitely not be able to bear the consequences. For ordinary people like Beihou Liang, even if they wanted to enter Yi Guxing's mansion, it would be harder than ascending to the heavens. As the news of Yi Guxing's death spread, most of the prodigal sons also reined themselves in. No one knew what kind of storm this matter would cause. It was said that the murderer was untraceable. He sneaked into Yi Guxing's mansion silently and killed all the guards. Even the 2 experts who were in charge of protecting Yi Guxing in the dark died in the secret chamber. There were no signs of a fight at the scene. The attacker must have been killed in one move. Someone with such strength had to be at least a king-level master. Furthermore, one king-class expert was definitely not enough. With such a huge commotion, and the smell of blood to cover, one person was definitely not enough to kill so many people at the same time. There had to be 2 or more people involved. Faced with the many difficult questions in the investigation, it could be said that these people from the Special Envoy Department had some difficulties. The news of Yi Guxing's death was quickly suppressed. Some details were suppressed, but this fact was not forcibly suppressed. This was a matter of life and death. Moreover, the person involved was a member of an important family. It was even more impossible for them to let it go easily. They would definitely investigate to the end. However, although this matter was big, there were also other matters. Not everyone was interested in the Yi clan's matters. Outside the Heavenly Day Medicine Manor, there was a long queue. A large number of people had gathered, and a notice board was erected at the entrance. What was announced on the notice board was the list of people who had successfully entered the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor this year. The order of the rankings was also based on the list. Those who were ranked high would naturally be at the front. No one could know the news in advance. Therefore, if anyone wanted to know, they would have to come and see it for themselves. Kuan Erishur tried his best to squeeze in. When he saw the name directly, Kuan Erishur was so excited that he almost jumped up. However, he was only ranked second. He's only ranked second? This Li Zongjio is really strong. Kuan Erishur thought in his heart. When he saw Li Zongjio's name hanging high on the list, although he was a little depressed, he did not feel defeated. Instead, his fighting spirit was reignited. Indeed, there are many experts in King City. Kuan Erishur thought in his heart. The results of the announcement were not too surprising. There were a total of 300 people, and the names were clear. Moreover, the list announced by the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor did not allow anyone to question it. It was an existence of absolute authority and fairness. Who would dare to say anything against the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor? That guy actually got first place. Beihou Liang was also mixed in with the crowd. When he saw the list, he was shocked. Just by looking at the following names, one would know how valuable the first place was. Third place, Emo Suli, Medicine Sovereign's disciple. The Emo clan was a rather prosperous clan in the north. Fourth place, Mu Qingyan, one of the 4 great princes of King City, the future successor of the Mu clan. At the same time, he was also a rare genius of the Mu clan. Fifth place, a boy named Wang Xian. If he guessed correctly, he should be a disciple of the Wang clan, the number 1 clan in Nantan State. The sixth person's name was a little unfamiliar. Almost no one had heard of it before. No one knew where this person came from. She was called Shuiyu. There was actually someone with the surname Shui. This was simply unbelievable. There was actually such a name. Shuiyu was a girl. But to experienced people, it should be an alias. No one knew where she came from to have such a big background. She could even write an alias on the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor's announcement list. No matter what, she was not someone to be trifled with. Sigh, it's a pity that Crane died. Otherwise, he would definitely be on the list. I wouldn't have ended up like this. Beihou Liang grumbled in his heart. San Tong squeezed out of the crowd and impatiently told Li Zongjio the news of him passing. Li Zongjio had no intention of coming to see the rankings. Instead, he had been cultivating in the technique practicing room. He had just received a large amount of vitality stones. Of course, he had to seize the time to cultivate. In the tea house, Emo Suli and Mu Qingyan sat together. When their subordinates came to report the news, Emo Suli was so angry that he could not even drink his tea. He was actually being suppressed by someone else. Third place. What kind of humiliation was this? She, Emo Suli, was the disciple of the East Victory Medicine Sovereign. Now she was ranked third. Obviously, she was not satisfied with this result. Third place is not bad. Look, I'm only fourth. This Kuan Erishur is a strong opponent. As for Li Zongjio, it seems that he is not on the same level as us. Mu Qingyan said without a care in the world. He didn't really care about reputation and whatnot. As long as he could enter the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor, it was enough. As for other things, it did not matter if he was slightly worse. After all, there were too many geniuses in this world. Even they might not be able to firmly stand at the top. Every year, new geniuses would appear. The pressure of competition was too great. But then again, I don't seem to see Li Zongjio. That guy, doesn't he care about his ranking? Chapter 320. If that was the case, then this Li Zongjio was too arrogant. He didn't even care about his own ranking. Did he really believe that he would be able to advance? In the same tea house, there was also a young lady sitting on the second floor. The young lady was also dressed in a youthful and energetic manner. Her hair was casually tied up, but her jet black and beautiful eyes were filled with charm. Miss, it's dangerous outside. Let's go back quickly. A maid beside her said worriedly. At the same time, she sized up the surrounding environment. It seemed that in her eyes, everyone was a bad person. No matter who approached, they would be a threat. The black-haired young lady in a white dress waved her hand indifferently. On her jade-like wrist, there was a white jade bracelet. On the bracelet, there were exquisite carvings. It's okay, little Chun. However, these people are really strong. My teacher has been teaching me for so long and praised my talent. However, I'm still only sixth. The young lady seemed a little discouraged. Although she had worked very hard, the result this time was still not ideal. The sixth place was Shueiwa. Who would have thought that the young lady in front of them was Shueiwa, who was ranked sixth on the freshman ranking list? Although the young lady didn't look simple, it was really difficult to link her with the sixth place on the freshman ranking list of the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor. Miss, you're only 16 years old. They have been cultivating for so many years more than you. The maid Little Chun said helplessly. If they were at the same age, the young lady's talent would definitely be at the top. However, the young lady had to compete with these people who were above 17 years old. There were even some who were already 19 years old. If she were to compete with these people, she would naturally be at a disadvantage. Between geniuses, the greater the difference in age, the greater the disadvantage. Even if there was a difference of a few days, there would be a world of difference. After all, when it came to breaking through, it might be a difference of a few days, but it would be a difference of an entire realm. Oh right, they are all older than me. Shueiwa's face suddenly lit up. She seemed to be happy. Hey, have you guys heard? I heard that the top of the assessment this time, Li Zongjio, is only 16 years old. Oh my god, did he start cultivating in his mother's womb? 17 years old. I heard that the person ranked third, Emosuli, is already 17 years old. That Mu Qingyan is also 18 years old. If that's the case, then with Li Zongjio's strength he's probably at the top of his peers. It's possible. I've never seen such a monstrous genius in Royal City. This year's batch is said to be the batch with the highest quality. The 7 people on the freshman list almost all have the strength to challenge the seniors. They're so fucking fierce. How do you think they did it? They're only in their teens, and they've already reached a level that we'll never surpass in our entire lives. Sigh, everyone is the same. Everyone has their own way of doing things. The people at the table behind seemed to be discussing. After Shueiwa heard it, her black eyes widened, as if they were shining. Little Chun, listen. That Li Zongjio is actually the same age as me. He's only 16 years old. How could that guy get first place? Shueiwa seemed to be somewhat unconvinced. Could it be that his teacher is more powerful than my teacher? Shueiwa asked doubtfully. Her words made Little Chun jump in fright. A young miss, don't talk nonsense. If the teacher hears it, you'll be punished to copy the 100 herb scripture. In Royal City, there are only a few people who can surpass Mr. Deshun. Young miss, you can ask Mr. Deshun, and you'll know the origin of this person. Little Chun said. No, if I go back to the palace, I won't be able to come out. Anyway, I've already passed the assessment. Why don't I just stay in Heavenly Star Medicine Manor and study for a period of time? I want to see the origin of this Li Zongjio. At such a young age, he was able to suppress several famous geniuses. Even Emosuli was left behind. Li Zongjio instantly became the hottest topic in the city. Some information about Li Zongjio also appeared in the eyes of the major forces. After knowing that Li Zongjio was just someone who came from a small city, these forces became interested in Li Zongjio. He was a very dazzling dark horse. If they could recruit this Li Zongjio into their camp, that would be a great help to them. Li Zongjio was born with a clean background. It was almost impossible for him to be a spy sent by anyone. He was the best target to recruit. He also didn't have any major forces supporting him. If they didn't seize the opportunity, and he was recruited by others, he would become their strongest enemy in the future. When it came to geniuses, they couldn't be too hasty. If they really refused to listen and cooperate, then it wouldn't be too late to destroy them. Li Zongjio's manor. At this moment, there were hundreds of stones placed beside Li Zongjio. These were all yuan stones. However, they had already lost their luster and didn't have enough energy. The energy that was previously stored had all been devoured and absorbed by Li Zongjio. Li Zongjio had 4 great yuan spirits. Therefore, the yuan energy required for this breakthrough was also incomparably vast. If he only relied on the yuan arts to obtain it, it would take an unknown amount of time before he could break through to the yuan ancestor realm. Therefore, yuan stones and elixirs were the best supporting partners. As long as there were enough yuan stones and elixirs, Li Zhongjiu's breakthrough speed would soar like a great rock spreading its wings. The shackles of the realm were nothing to Li Zhongjiu. The breakthrough experience of his previous life could be easily passed in this life. The hundreds of yuan stones scattered on the ground were already worth a lot. According to the market price, the value of a yuan stone was around 10,000 purple yuan. If one were to buy it, that would be the price. Of course, the cost was also controlled. If one had the means, one could buy it for 500 purple yuan. However, the price was just that high. Therefore, using these yuan stones to cultivate was an extremely expensive matter. Almost no one could afford it. Generally, they would only use these yuan stones to break through their strength at this crucial moment. Just one more step. Li Zhongjiu took out the last 3 flower yuan gathering elixir and threw it into his mouth. At the same time, the yuan arts within his body began to circulate. Grade 7 yuan arts, Heavenly Void Divine Body Record. Boom! Finally, the restriction that was restricting him instantly collapsed under Li Zhongjiu's attack. The yuan bead within his body also became the size of a fisheye. The appearance of such power made Li Zhongjiu's heart tremble slightly. The vast power of the yuan bead instantly poured into his entire body. At the same time, the 4 great yuan spirits within his body began to howl. The blood dragon yuan spirit did not rely on the yuan arts to break through, but on a yuan skill. Li Zhongjiu had obtained the white god endowment, ancient golden body art, and Hell Prajna technique from the 4 great yuan arts. However, the corresponding attribute of the blood dragon soul had never appeared. Therefore, there must be something hidden within the blood dragon soul. When Li Zhongjiu broke through to the yuan ancestor realm, the blood dragon soul also responded. The blood dragon soul also reciprocated. It seemed that the strength from before had also been connected at this moment. Blood spirit world? Li Zhongjiu read the information in his mind. The first thing that popped up were these 3 words. Chapter 321. Blood Spirit Plane. Li Zhongjiu immediately understood when he read the name. He recalled the time when he fought with the Blood Dragon Sovereign. That guy was also gritting his teeth, but he didn't see any elemental energy bursting out. However, he saw that the sky was gradually turning blood red. At first, Li Zhongjiu thought that this guy was using his own elemental energy to change the surrounding environment. However, because the elemental energy attribute was rather special, he couldn't sense it. From the looks of it now, it wasn't because of yuan power. That power was called the Blood Spirit Plane. The Blood Spirit Plane uses murderous aura to create a space. It's a skill to train one's murderous aura. Li Zhongjiu analyzed in his heart. As an evil lord, he could naturally see through the essence of these yuan skills at a glance. In that case, he would be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. Most of the time, he needed to understand something in order to do it well. Just as Li Zhongjiu was about to continue cultivating the blood spirit plane. After studying it for a while, he sensed that San Tong was waiting outside the house. He got up and went out. He saw San Tong standing outside the courtyard. "What's wrong?" Li Zhongjiu asked. Seeing Li Zhongjiu come out, San Tong's face was filled with anxiety. "Young master, the results of the Heavenly Day Medicine Manor are out. You're first." San Tong was obviously very excited. He hadn't been this emotional for a long time. One had to know that the first place of the Heavenly Day Medicine Manor's newcomer ranking was destined to have a bright future. Li Zhongjiu's future was limitless, and such an honor was extremely rare. Li Zhongjiu, who came from a small city, had actually killed his way out of the encirclement and became the center of attention in Royal City, the place where dragons and tigers roamed. How could one not be proud of this? Li Zhongjiu was not arrogant. For Li Zhongjiu, this was not a challenge at all. If he could not get first place, then Li Zhongjiu might as well hang himself at home. San Tong, remember this. If you want to stand at the peak, you have to focus on the peak first. Li Zhongjiu said calmly. Then he waved his hand. Go back and cultivate. There's nothing to look forward to. Li Zhongjiu said calmly. After that, he turned around and returned to his training room to continue his cultivation. San Tong watched in shock as Li Zhongjiu left. He felt an indescribable admiration for Li Zongjio's level of awareness. At the same time, Li Zongjio's words exploded in Santong's mind. If you want to stand at the peak, you have to focus on the peak first. How could Li Zongjio be satisfied if all he saw were the mediocre people around him? Naturally, it was impossible. That was why Li Zongjio had never put these people in his eyes. All he wanted was to reach the peak of his strength. Therefore, the young master's achievements were far above these people's. After Santong understood this, he immediately entered a state of cultivation. The most important thing now was to break through his own level. At the same time, he had to cultivate the Dark Yuan Pierce to its peak state. This was Santong's current task. Many people were celebrating that they were able to enter the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. However, there were also many people who left dejectedly. Yao Lei had originally wanted to congratulate Li Zongjio, but she couldn't believe that Li Zongjio had actually obtained first place in the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor's assessment and become this year's newcomer king. This year's newcomer king was especially low-key. After obtaining such a result, there was actually no response from Li Zongjio. Even those who wanted to recruit Li Zongjio discovered that the manor's doors were tightly shut. When they saw this, they could not help but feel admiration from the bottom of their hearts. Being able to obtain first place in this assessment did not fall from the sky. When Yao Lei sensed this atmosphere, she became even more focused and worked even harder on her cultivation. In Wu Teng's opinion, this was a good thing. However, it seemed like this girl's thoughts were mostly on Li Zongjio, which was rather dangerous. In Wu Teng's opinion, Li Zongjio seemed to be at a higher level than them. This was a direct perception of a powerhouse. He could clearly sense that Li Zongjio's aura was stronger than ordinary people's. Their gazes were different. To be able to nurture such a person with such lofty aspirations, Wu Teng did not know who Li Zongjio's master was, and which sect he was from. This is just the beginning. I'm afraid that this girl will be thrown to God knows where before long. Wu Teng thought in his heart. Yao Lei's talent was indeed not bad. However, compared to a true demon-like genius, she was still far from it. If she could not recognize the difference between herself and others, it would be a very painful thing. At this moment, Yi Manor. As the Yi family's manor, it looked dark and solemn from the outside. From afar one could feel a strong murderous aura. It was because of this that the Yi family was able to suppress the surrounding citizens who wanted to cause trouble. If not for the existence of the Yi family, there would be people who would be even more unbridled in the royal city. In the great hall of the Yi family, a long purple gold wooden coffin was placed. The person lying in the coffin was Yi Guxing, who had been tortured to death. Yi Guxing wasn't very old, but he died early. If Yi Guxing was killed by a sword, it wouldn't be a big deal. After all, the Yi clan was a big tree that attracted the wind. They had offended countless enemies. Naturally, they had to pay for what they had done to the Yi clan. It was inevitable that some of the henchmen of the families that had been investigated by the Yi family would come out. The Yi family head, Yi Lantian, did not wish for his descendants to be incompetent. Therefore, even if there was danger outside, he would let them out and let them grow up independently. This matter naturally had to be investigated thoroughly. However, Yi Guxing had not been killed by a sword. Instead, he had been tortured to death in an extreme way. This was a provocation to the dignity of the Yi family. Such an action would also lead to the crazy revenge of the Yi family. No matter who you were, you would have to face the wrath of the Yi family. There were 4 people kneeling in front of the coffin. These 4 people happened to be the ones who had been searching for an opportunity to assassinate Beiho Liang. Originally, there were 6 of them. However, the other 2 went to assassinate Li Zongjio and never returned. They did not even have time to understand the situation before they were brought here by the Yi family. They were surrounded by the Yi family's cold and ruthless guards. The swords in their hands would be unsheathed at the slightest movement. To them, there was no chance for them to leave. Tell me, how much do you know about this matter? Yi Lantian asked in a low voice. From the beginning to the end, his back was facing these people. After these few assassins left Yi Guxing's place, Yi Guxing met with such a thing on the same night. It would be hard to believe that this had nothing to do with them. Master, we really don't know. We only took young Master Ye's money to kill him. A young master from a second-class city, and a country bumpkin, who isn't even from a third-class city. Do you think the two of them have such ability? Yi Lantian laughed coldly. He turned around, and looked at one of the four people. Where his gaze landed, that person's heart skipped a beat. Immediately, he saw a cold light falling towards him. Whoosh! The sword fell, and a head rolled to the ground. After all, he was a rank 2 origin ancestor expert. However, under this sword, he did not have any ability to retaliate or react. This was because the speed of this sword was too fast. A head rolled on the ground. The black-faced guard put away his sword, and stood at the side as if nothing had happened. The other 3 people were so frightened that they trembled. One of them forced himself to be brave. Master, please give us a chance. Within 3 days, we will definitely find the murderer who killed young Master. This person was quite smart. He actually wanted to redeem himself by doing good deeds. However, a mocking light flashed across Yi Lantian's eyes. Chapter 322. My son is dead, and you still want to live for 3 more days? Haha. Yi Lantian turned around. At this moment, the 3 people kneeling on the ground immediately realized that something was wrong. However, it was too late. Whoosh! 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 Behind him, 3 guards immediately stepped forward and beheaded the 3 people on the ground. What was the big deal about killing people? What was the big deal about using private punishment? To Yi Lantian, these things were extremely normal. Who would dare to investigate in the Yi family's territory? From the beginning, he did not intend to learn anything from these 4 people. Their status was too low, so there was no need to spend so much effort. There are not many people in Monarch City who dare to touch the Yi family. The Mu family is neutral. Right now, the only one who wants to compete with me is old man Sima. Sima family, now that one of my Yi family's seedlings has died, your Sima family will not have an easy time either. Yi Lantian said. At this moment, the aura of a king was released from his body. No one dared to doubt Yi Lantian's strength. To be able to sit in the position of the head of the Ministry of Justice, Yi Lantian did not rely on his mouth. The 13 guards of the Ministry of Justice were his sharp weapons. However, in this imperial court, there was only one person who could be his enemy. This person was the Iron Pestle Sima, who was bestowed by the emperor. The Sima family commanded the special envoys of the 13 prefectures. The power in their hands was more terrifying than Yi Lantian. Only the people of the Sima family were not afraid of the Yi family at all. The Department of Special Envoys, a department that was not greatly affected by the Ministry of Justice's jurisdiction. There were many experts in the department. Father, the Sima family is definitely involved in this matter. The city is filled with special envoys of the Sima family. Third brother was lying in the courtyard for an entire night, and only died before dawn. There must be special envoys covering for him. One of them was tall and slender, with delicate features. The aura he exuded also seemed to indicate that he was well-read, and had a wise and far-sighted aura that seemed to have seen through the myriad of worlds. It was the second young master of the Yi family, Yi Lonmoon. When Yi Guxing died, Yi Lonmoon was naturally the happiest person. Everyone knew that his father doted on Yi Guxing the most. But this time, Yi Guxing was defeated. Even the 9-star protective pearl that he always carried with him was taken away. In the end, he was brutally killed. As a result, among the successors of the Yi clan, only he and his eldest sister were left. As for his eldest sister, she was currently serving as the captain of the 13 judicial guards. Clearly, his father was preparing for his eldest sister to serve in the judicial guards. However, he was naturally the only one who could control the entire situation. Even when he was asleep, Lonmoon wanted to laugh out loud. If it wasn't for this accident, it was very likely that Yi Guxing would have been directly cultivated into a talent. However, he also believed that Yi Guxing would either get rid of Xia, or take on an idle position, and then wait for the end of his life. The Yi clan's business would no longer have much to do with him. It doesn't matter if the Sima family has a share or not. I won't let them off so easily. I just pity my Xing'er. Yi Lantian looked at Yi Guxing's body, and his heart was filled with melancholy. He didn't expect that the curtains to the war with the Sima family would be drawn with the corpse of his most beloved son. Don't you want to prove yourself? Then go and complete the task that Xing was unable to complete. Kill Li Zongjiu and Beiho Liang. Since Xing wants them dead, then they can't live. Yi Lantian said slowly. Hearing Yi Lantian's words, Yi Lonmoon bowed. Yes, master. However, a cold light flashed across Yi Lonmoon's eyes. It was obvious that Yi Lantian doted on Yi Guxing. Li Zongjiu's information had already been released. He was the #1 person in the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor's new disciple assessment. With such a standard, he would definitely be noticed by the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. If Yi Lonmoon were to make a big fuss, he would definitely be noticed by the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. At that time, even if he was a disciple of the Yi family, he wouldn't be able to escape death. The Heavenly Star Medicine Manor and the Yi family were on two completely different levels. The Yi family was still in the imperial court, fighting for power and maintaining their position. However, the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor's position was unshakable. Even if Yi Lantian wanted to go to the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, he would have to inform the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, and he would have to wait outside. It wasn't impossible for the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor to directly reject Yi Lantian's entry. Both parties had different priorities, and their positions in the city were also different. If Yi Lantian wanted to kill Li Zongjiu, he would have to do it within these 3 days. Otherwise, if he waited until Li Zongjiu entered the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, it would be even more difficult. Moreover, if he killed Li Zongjiu, he would have to bear a greater responsibility. The Yi family was filled with murderous aura, and people could feel it from dozens of miles away. An unusual cold wind blew across the sacred flame royal city. On the day of Yi Guxing's funeral, the dozens of beautiful maids who were in the courtyard were all sent to the cemetery to be buried with Yi Guxing. More than 10 lives were nothing to the Yi clan. After the list of new students was released, everyone was given 3 days to sort out their matters. After 3 days, they would once again bring along their own proof of identity, which was something similar to the admission form that was issued by the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Hall, to complete some of the procedures to enter the academy. It was worth mentioning that during this period, they could only come out for 2 days a week. For the rest of the time, they had to stay in the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. Other than the tuition and miscellaneous fees, they also had to pay some accommodation fees. Compared to the facilities built by the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, the tuition and miscellaneous fees were considered very cheap. There were also some new students who came from far away. They had enough time to bid farewell to their friends and family. After all, they could accompany you to participate in the assessment, but they couldn't stay with you forever. If you were to stay in Royal City for a long time, you would have to apply for some documents. If you couldn't prove that you were here to do something, and if you couldn't contribute anything to Royal City, you would be thrown out even if you were a beggar. That was the way it was. Li Zongjiu had been cultivating for the past 3 days. Although there were undercurrents in Royal City, Li Zongjiu wasn't affected much. It was worth mentioning that San Tong had finally broken through to the ancestor level last night. Unfortunately, his original spirit hadn't awakened. Although he had lost the opportunity to become a genius, it didn't mean that he couldn't become a strong person in the future. The Dark Yuan spike was also in his hands, and he was cultivating every day and night. Compared to the past, his current cultivation was in a more focused and efficient state. This was a huge improvement for San Tong. Your Dark Yuan spike isn't explosive enough. Furthermore, it's not hidden well enough. Li Zongjiu's voice was heard. San Tong also stopped at this moment. In front of him was a wooden stake that had been smashed. Young master, you're out. Yes. Although you don't have an original spirit, it's very important to obtain an original spirit. Don't rush, Li Zongjiu said. Yes, young master. Tomorrow, I'll enter the mansion to learn. In 3 months, you can travel outside and find a suitable origin beast. The origin weapons in your hands should be enough to protect your life. In addition, I got this a few days ago. I've erased all the traces on it. This origin weapon can provide you with a final layer of protection. With that, Li Zongjie took out a belt. The belt was inlaid with 9 silver pearls. This belt was called the 9-star protective pearls. If Yi Guxing had been wearing this equipment that day, it wouldn't have been easy for Li Zongjie to kill him. Therefore, he could only say that this guy was unlucky. Although San Tong didn't know the name of the belt, he knew that Li Zongjie had helped him too much. Did he mean that he wanted him to leave? Could it be that he didn't perform well enough? San Tong thought to himself. On second thought, this was indeed the case. He had stayed by Li Zongjie's side for so long, but he hadn't produced many origin beads. At the end of the day, he was still too weak. Don't disappoint me. After Li Zongjie finished speaking, he left alone. San Tong took the exquisite belt in his hands and put it away. His eyes were filled with emotions. He had been by Li Zongjie's side for less than half a month, but every day had been happier and more satisfying than when he had been in the Blood Strike Guard. Therefore, he couldn't let Li Zongjie down. Don't worry, young master. I definitely won't disappoint you. San Tong wasn't a pretentious person. After Li Zongjie left, he also left. Chapter 323. Tomorrow was the day of registration, and 7 days had passed since the start of the school year. According to the agreement, Li Zongjie once again came to the remote blacksmith shop. There was still a shabby signboard hanging high above the blacksmith shop. It looked really shabby. Anyone who saw this blacksmith shop would definitely not walk in. When Li Zongjie walked into the blacksmith shop again, the old man was still lying on the ground. He saw that the old man was still lying on the rattan chair in the courtyard, but he was holding an exquisite box with both hands. It seemed that no one could take his box away from him. This was his lifeblood. In the eyes of outsiders, this scene was also very funny. Boss, my weapon is done. Hearing Li Zongjie shout, the old man slowly woke up from his sleep. You're finally here. In order to make this weapon of yours, I overdrew my strength for the next 10 years. Come and take it yourself. I don't have the strength to give it to you. The old man opened his eyes weakly and glanced at Li Zongjie. The reason why he was lying on the rattan chair was not because he was sleeping, but because he was recovering his energy. This was because the creation of this weapon was quite difficult for him. Therefore, he had overdrafted a large portion of his energy before he was able to complete the creation of this weapon. Thank you. Li Zongjie took the box. He opened it and took a look. Immediately, he was completely fascinated by the flying knife in the box. Only when you really looked at it, you would know how charming this flying knife was. That perfect streamlined body. It was as if he could travel through any kind of storm with ease. On the blade, there was also a Bai Xiaohua carved with extremely fine knife skills. Moreover, this Bai Xiaoxiao flower wasn't just for show. Once the throwing knife pierced through your body, you would know what it felt like to have your body blossom. This thing was very accurate in telling you what it felt like to have your body blossom. It was a blood trough used for bleeding. As for the gem, it was hidden inside the blade. It looked extremely strange. The gem itself had been cut into an extremely thin plane and was integrated into the flying knife. What an exquisite throwing knife! Not only did it have a strong penetrating power, but it was also tough enough to be comparable to a level 5 yuan artifact. In addition, the power of the gem was hidden within. Even a grade 6 origin item might not be able to withstand the effects of this flying dagger, because of the enhancement from the boundless stone. Therefore, the flying dagger itself carried the spiritual penetration damage. Basically, if one was stabbed by a flying dagger, there was no chance of survival. With this saber and my current strength, I might even be able to kill Yuan Wang. Li Zongjie sneered. Now he could be considered to have the ability to protect himself in this city. A few days ago, he had killed that Yi Guxing from the Yi clan. Although the other party might not be able to discover him, the methods used by such a large clan were usually extremely extreme. Therefore, they would more or less have some new tricks up their sleeves. Of course, Li Zongjie had to be prepared. In order to forge such a flying dagger, he had probably spent most of his life's effort. However, it was also extremely beneficial for him. After all, forging experience of this level was extremely rare. Li Zongjie left this remote place and entered the Thousand Flavors Herb Hall to purchase some medicinal herbs. Elixirs could not be stopped. Since he had such unique conditions, Li Zhongjie naturally had to use his own strength to refine some powerful elixirs to help him break through his cultivation level. However, when it came to refining elixirs, Li Zhongjie still lacked one thing. It was his own medicine cauldron. In his previous life, when Li Zhongjie became famous, the Shengyan dynasty also specially forged a 9-element golden bottle cauldron and sent it to Li Zhongjie's hands. It had to be said that the 9-element golden bottle cauldron, at that time, could be said to have gathered the best craftsmanship. Various masters gathered together in order to forge this medicine cauldron. The final result was naturally very obvious. Li Zhongjie also used it very smoothly. However, for now, the 9-element golden bottle cauldron had not been forged yet. Therefore, Li Zhongjie could only buy some ordinary medicine cauldrons to hold on for now. If he wanted to buy things here or outside, of course, he would go to the 7 Stars Fire Room. Even at this time and night, the 7 Stars Fire Room was still in a state of operation. Li Zhongjie walked in and went straight to the second floor. On the second floor, there was a young lady who came to receive him. When she saw Li Zhongjie appear, the young lady also bowed and greeted him. "Good evening, sir. May I ask what kind of yuan weapon you want to buy?" "Medicine cauldron." The young lady nodded. Looking at Li Zhongjie's slightly thin and weak appearance, he was not a good material for practicing martial arts. Most likely, he was also an alchemist or a pharmacist. "This way, please. Our 7 Stars Fire Room has a total of 7 types of cauldrons for sale. They are all custom-made and can be used in batches. In addition, you can also design and customize your own medicine cauldron. You can also engrave your name on it to prevent it from being lost." The young lady saw that Li Zhongjie's eyes did not linger on the medicine cauldrons. In her heart, she knew that these medicine cauldrons were not worthy of his attention. Since that was the case, she led Li Zhongjie to the side. "In addition, we also have some medicine cauldrons for sale. The specific amplification effect of these medicine cauldrons has not been appraised yet. The purchase risk is higher. If you are interested, you can come over and take a look," the young lady said. Medicine cauldrons were not the only medicine cauldrons for sale. There were also many other things. It was similar to a kind of suggested auction. The 7 Stars Fire Room provided a platform and took a considerable commission from the middle. They directly bought the items from the other party. The other party would name a price, and after selling it, they would split the money. They only earned and did not lose. Moreover, they did not have to bear the consequences. At the same time, it could also increase their reputation. Such an easy and pleasing method really made the 7 Stars Fire Room a target for many yuan weapon shops to imitate. However, this huge monster was still a huge monster. Even a simple trick could succeed. Due to the fact that the platform itself was relatively large, the process was also very clear and simple. At the same time, it also added a kind of taobao fun when shopping. "Let's go and take a look," Li Zhongjie said. The young lady immediately led the way in front. Those who were able to buy medicine cauldrons were mostly alchemists and did not lack money. "Miss, you clearly have a medicine cauldron. Why do you still want to buy one?" "We don't have much money on us." Little Chun followed beside Shuiyu. Seeing Shuiyu looking at the medicine cauldrons on the display rack with interest, and then looking at the price tag, Little Chun frowned. After all, one had to pay to buy things. The two of them could be said to have sneaked out. Originally, they did not have much money on them. Moreover, looking at the price tag on the medicine cauldrons, each price was like a grimacing evil spirit that wanted to eat people up. "I'm going to the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor to refine medicine. I can't take out my medicine cauldron. Wouldn't that expose my identity?" Shuiyu said. Obviously, she had her own considerations about this matter. She was not as silly as she looked. "Hey, wait. Someone with strong mental strength is coming." There were many crystal boxes in the exhibition hall. These boxes were filled with medicine cauldrons and some fire discs. The fire discs were used to increase the power of the flames. When placed under the medicine cauldron, the powerful fire discs could amplify the power of the flames by several times. Of course, this also relied on the power of the yuan inscription array. Such an item would definitely be of great value. Shui Yu's gaze looked over, and immediately saw a gray-clothed youth following behind a 7-star fire room salesperson at the entrance as they walked in. Li Zhongjiu's mental strength was naturally strengthened after wearing the flying knife, made from the boundless stone. Therefore, he could clearly sense the slight movements in the surroundings. He immediately looked in Shui Yu's direction. However, Shui Yu quickly shifted her gaze and pretended to look at the medicine cauldron beside her, as if nothing had happened. Hee, little Chun, the opportunity is here. Look after that gray-clothed kid. We'll take whichever cauldron he chooses and pay before him. Chapter 324. When Li Zhongjiu walked in, he saw a dazzling array of medicinal cauldrons placed in front of him. Although they were separated by a crystal cover, those with good eyesight could roughly tell the quality of these medicinal cauldrons from the workmanship of the cauldrons themselves. However, Li Zhongjiu had a feeling that he was being watched by someone. He turned around to look at the two girls who were not far away and frowned slightly. With Li Zhongjiu's strength, he could also sense that the body of one of the girls contained a strong power, but it could not be released easily. At the same time, he could also feel that the power of the girl's bloodline was not simple. Born with an original spirit, Li Zhongjiu had seen such a situation before. Xiaoyu was born with an original spirit and directly enhanced mental strength. This kind of talent was very rare. With a little training, it was enough to become a top expert. At the very least, she could become a very dangerous assassin. They were just two little girls. Li Zhongjiu did not take it to heart. Instead, he carefully looked at the cauldrons in front of him. Perhaps there would be some good stuff in there. With more than 3,000 years of eyesight, although he might not be able to tell that something was a treasure at a glance, it was not difficult to tell that it was a waste at a glance. What he saw was basically some rubbish. Some of them had been decorated on the outside and looked awesome, but in fact, the formation patterns on the inside had long been tattered and were useless. However, such cauldrons were very expensive. Just when Li Zhongjiu was almost done looking at the cauldrons here, suddenly, a cauldron appeared in front of Li Zhongjiu's eyes. It was a dark red cauldron, and it had a very dangerous name. Azura Cauldron? Li Zhongjiu looked at the introduction written on the outside of the Azura Cauldron. It said that it was unearthed in an unknown historical site in the central part of the dynasty. Although it was severely damaged over the years, it still had a terrifying alchemy effect. Most importantly, the owner of this medicinal cauldron had set a very high price and refused to budge. Of course, the identity of the person who put up the price was kept a secret. Otherwise, if the customer directly went to the person who put up the price, the 7-star fire room wouldn't be able to earn anything. This cauldron, Li Zhongjiu pointed at the Azura Cauldron. Shui Yu and Shui Yu, who had been sneakily following them, jumped out. With a bang, he slapped the crystal cover. I'm sorry, little brother. Our family's young miss saw this cauldron first. We want it, Xiao Chun said straightforwardly. Moreover, she had an annoying look on her face as she took out a pouch. Come, help me pack up this cauldron. Our young miss wants it. Xiao Chun jumped out. She was really rude and unreasonable, but the other party didn't break the rules. Whoever placed the order would naturally get it first. Li Zhongjiu didn't say anything just now. The shop assistant looked at Li Zhongjiu, and then looked at Xiao Chun and Shui Yu, who seemed to be determined not to back down, and fell into a difficult situation. You, Li Zhongjiu frowned and said. What do you mean by you and us? No way. I want to buy this cauldron. Hurry up, we want it. How much is it? Just pack it up for me. Shui Yu waved her hand again and again, as if she didn't want to negotiate with Li Zhongjiu too much. Anyway, this cauldron was hers and couldn't run away. Even if she had to act shamelessly, she had to get this cauldron. This cauldron is worth 100 million purple yuan. Do you have it? Li Zhongjiu didn't say anything, and just quietly looked at the two girls in front of him. If it was an ordinary little girl, how could she possibly take out so much? Back then, Beihou Liang's entire net worth was only 20 million purple yuan. The price in front of them was 5 times higher. 100 million purple yuan. Even if it was Li Zhongjiu himself, he could not take out so many purple essence coins either. Even if it was converted into yuan stones, it would need at least 10,000 yuan stones. This was a very huge number. How much? Shuiyu climbed down from the crystal cover of the cauldron and carefully looked at the price tag. It was indeed written on it. 100 million purple yuan. A series of zeros almost made Shuiyu faint. Xiao Chun pretended to open her purse and put it away again. After all, even if she took out her purse and pawned it, it wouldn't be worth so much money. What is this thing? This cauldron is so expensive. It's made of gold. Shuiyu was extremely angry. This was just a cauldron, and the price was actually so high. This cauldron can enjoy a 30% discount, so it only costs 70 million purple yuan. 70 million. 70 million isn't expensive. Let's take a look. Xiao Chun, let's go. Let's go to other places. This cauldron is really ugly. It's okay to look at it from afar, but I want to vomit when I look at it up close. Shuiyu hurriedly pulled Xiao Chao away. What a joke, 30% discount is 30 million cheaper. Am I someone who lacks 30 million? What I lack is 70 million. She originally wanted to intercept halfway, but she didn't expect this matter to end in such a way. It's really embarrassing. Next time, I must bring enough money when I go out. Shuiyu's face couldn't help but be embarrassed. After all, if such a thing happened to anyone, they would probably be like this. Miss, you don't have to worry. If you reveal your identity, the 7-star fire room will immediately give the cauldron to you. Xiao Chun comforted her on the side. She didn't want to let the miss continue to be so confused. As a maid, she naturally had to solve the miss's problems. That's right. How much money do we have left? Shuiyu asked. Her jet-black eyes gently blinked. We have less than 5,000 left. Less than 5,000 purple yuan. Less than 5,000 gold yuan. A few days ago, you ate too much. Xiao Chun couldn't help but say. Her words made Shuiyu's face become even more embarrassed. I just ate a little bit more. I'm a dignified alchemist. Could it be that I will starve to death? Li Zongjio pulled all the vitality stones and purple yuan he had on him. He almost emptied his entire wallet to gather the money. It was a bit embarrassing, but Li Zongjio could afford it, so he just put the money on the table. Once the deal was made for 70 million purple yuan, the 7-star fire room had already earned 7 million purple yuan just by charging a commission of 10%. This was just an extra income for the 7-star fire room. However, in a third-class city, even Li Zongjio's family, the annual income was only a few million gold yuan. In comparison, it was pitifully small. Therefore, if one wanted to succeed, the first thing one had to do was to expand one's platform. Otherwise, it would be difficult to break through the limits if it was always lingering on the edge of the bottom. Congratulations on the deal. The Azura Cauldron is yours. Also, the owner of the Azura Cauldron once said that if someone bought the Azura Cauldron, he would give it to that person as a gift. As for what it is, we don't know. After the staff at the front desk checked the deal, he asked someone to take out a sealed box from the seed warehouse and handed it to Li Zongjio. This was also the advantage of having a large platform. At the very least, one could rest assured. Perhaps there was something very precious in the box. If it was placed in a small stall, the stall might just cheat you. However, in the 7-star fire room, such a situation would definitely not happen. Quality and reputation were also important parts of a brand. Okay. Li Zongjio took the box and turned to leave. On the way home, the surrounding atmosphere gradually became gloomy and cold. Li Zongjio stopped in front of a long road lined with trees. He turned around. Looking at the pitch-black area, he said indifferently, "Get out here." Chapter 325. When he heard Li Zongjio's words, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. He seemed to know that he would not be able to escape and walked out directly. Although Li Zongjio did not have a deep impression of the person who walked out, he recognized him. Bei Ho Liang of the Bei family in the Black North Giant City. In Li Zongjio's eyes, such a person was even worse than Zhang Sun. Otherwise, Li Zongjio would not have just killed Zhang Sun, and not Bei Ho Liang as well. It was because such a person was not worthy of being a threat to Li Zongjiu. It would not be long before Bei Holiang was killed by himself. He obviously did not have the strength, but he always thought that he could control the situation. Such people were the most pitiful. They could not see their own strength and could not recognize their own position. Such people usually died quickly. Are you here to die? Li Zongjiu said indifferently. I am here to seek refuge with you alone. Listen to me. The third young master of the Yi clan, Yi Guxing, has placed a huge bet on Zhang Hexuan. Zhang Hexuan's death must have something to do with you. Therefore, young master Yi Guxing will definitely not let us go. If we cooperate, we will definitely have a chance to survive. Bei Holiang jumped out and said, no matter what, he could not escape from this matter. Yi family would definitely find many people to be buried with him. Unremarkable people like them were the best candidates to be buried with him. Are you talking about Yi Guxing? Sorry, I just killed him a few days ago. Although Li Zongjiu's words were soft, it was extremely shocking to Bei Holiang. It was as if he could see thousands of horses galloping towards him. The uproar in the city was almost all because of this incident. Now the real culprit was right in front of him. How could Bei Holiang contain the shock in his heart? You killed Yi Guxing. That Zhang Sun. Yes, I killed him too. Li Zongjiu said faintly, as if this matter was as simple as having a meal with someone. You actually, how dare you? Bei Holiang had never imagined that Li Zongjiu would be so audacious as to kill people in the city. Moreover, the people he killed were all extremely important people. Suddenly, Bei Holiang recalled that he had found someone to deal with Li Zongjiu before. However, Li Zongjiu had not killed him. Now that he had delivered himself to Li Zongjiu's doorstep, wouldn't that give Li Zongjiu a reason to kill him? Then why didn't you kill me? Bei Holiang probed. Originally, someone like you was not worthy of me taking action. Li Zongjiu said. Then he looked around. The surrounding forest was pitch black, as if something was trembling. Immediately, Li Zongjiu's eyes turned cold. But today, you don't have to leave here alive. Holding a flying knife in his hand, he looked at Bei Holiang. The latter was shocked. Could it be that Li Zongjiu had discovered something? Didn't they say that these people were the elites of the elites? They shouldn't be discovered so easily. Swoosh. The flying knife instantly flew out from Li Zongjiu's hand. Bei Holiang could only see a transparent light that was like a cicada's wing flying out from Li Zongjiu's hand. When it left his hand, it quickly hid the light and disappeared. All the light disappeared, and even the aura could not be seen. Boom! A tearing sound came from his eardrums. Then he saw a ball of light behind him, flying forward at high speed. Swoosh! Bang! In the dark forest, the sound of several people falling to the ground could be heard. They were shot. Li Zongjiu's flying knife had actually shot these people to the ground. At the same time, a figure could be seen soaring into the sky. Obviously, he saw that the situation was not good and wanted to escape. This person's movement technique was not bad, and he also had wind attribute Yuan energy. Immediately, a gust of wind appeared beside him as he soared into the sky. This secret must be passed on to the young master. This was the only thought in the mind of the person who escaped. With my wind attribute Yuan energy as a 4th grade origin ancestor, that brat will definitely not be able to catch up to me. When this thought appeared in his mind, he saw a ball of light rushing to the front. How did this ball of light appear? This thought instantly rose in his mind. Not good. Lowering his head, he immediately saw a large bloodstain on his chest. The flying knife had unknowingly pierced through his body, which was why it had rushed to the front. That person wanted to see the flying knife clearly, but a trace of dizziness had already appeared in his mind. The entire world seemed to be gradually becoming blurry. His figure immediately fell from the sky. Bang! He heavily smashed onto the ground. The flying knife had also returned to Li Zongjiu's hand. Controlled by mental energy, within a radius of 500 meters, killing people is like killing chickens. Feeling the flying knife in his hand, the weight was just right. It did not have the slightest trace of blood, and was spotless. Such high craftsmanship indeed made people feel a chill in their hearts. There were a total of 3 corpses on the ground. Bei Holiang stood where he was, not daring to move. At this moment, he understood that Li Zongjiu's strength was rather frightening. Furthermore, such a person did not care about the consequences and was simply fearless. To him, killing people was just a common occurrence. In fact, Beihou Liang had no choice but to come this time. Originally, he did not want to face this unknown and terrifying Li Zongjiu face to face. However, the second young master of the Yi family, Yi Lanyue, had found him and asked him to lead people to kill Li Zongjiu. If he could kill Li Zongjiu, he would be able to return alive. At the very least, that was what Yi Lanyue had promised him. However, now that Li Zongjiu had revealed such a shocking secret, and had even killed these people, the next one would naturally be him. Run! Those level 4 origin ancestor realm experts. Not even a single hair could escape. Needless to say, there was simply no chance for him. Beihou Liang merely stood where he was. The sweat on his back had already soaked his entire body. He looked at Li Zongjiu, who was currently plundering the storage rings of these people. When he had to buy these things himself, Li Zongjiu finally understood how useful money was. The things he bought were getting more and more expensive. If he did not prepare more money, he would not have the chance to buy anything valuable in the future. If it really did not work, wouldn't he have to resort to robbing? The 3 corpses were all plundered clean. However, in the end, there were only a few hundred origin stones, and less than 1,000,000 purple yuan. How could these people be so poor? Back then, the money in Beihou Liang's hands was much more than these people. 3 poor bastards. With a flick of Li Zongjiu's finger, the obsidian flames landed on the bodies of the 3 men and burned their corpses to ashes. Seeing that Li Zongjiu had already destroyed the corpses, Beihou Liang was so frightened that his legs went soft. Speak. Who sent you here? Li Zongjiu spoke with extreme disdain towards Beihou Liang, who was so cowardly. Don't kill me. I'll speak. I'll tell you everything. It's Yi Lanyue. Yi Lanyue sent me here. Hearing Beihou Liang's words, Li Zongjiu immediately sent a flying kick towards him. Damn you! What stars and moon! It's true. Yi Lanyue. Yi Lanyue is Yi Guxing's brother. He said that the Yi clan has already put you on the kill list. Beihou Liang said in fear. He really did not want to die. He really did not know how such a person entered the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor. The Yi clan put me on the kill list? Haha, interesting. Li Zongjiu immediately mocked in his heart when he heard this. Then, he looked at Beihou Liang. Alright, I won't kill you. I'll give you 3 days to prepare all the information about the Yi clan for me. I want to know how many properties, and how many people the Yi clan has. What kind of bullshit is this? How dare they put me on the kill list? At this moment, Li Zongjiu was completely enraged. The Yi clan was even more arrogant than the Qing Yuan Manor. They actually dared to step on Li Zongjiu's head for no reason. This was going to be fun. The reason why Li Zongjiu targeted the Qing Yuan Manor was because of Li Changjiang's matter. Secondly, the Qing Yuan Manor was the mastermind in his previous life. Sooner or later, they would walk on the opposite side. As for the Yi clan, they were completely digging their own grave. In his previous life, Li Zongjiu had never heard of the Yi clan. He also did not have any interaction with this clan. Now the Yi clan actually sent themselves to his doorstep. Li Zongjiu naturally would not be polite. Chapter 326. Hearing that Li Zongjiu was willing to let him go was something that Beihou Liang did not even dare to dream of. In such a dangerous situation, there was still a chance of survival. This was too touching, and they couldn't help but want to run away immediately. However, what Li Zongjiu asked him to do was extremely dangerous, even though it was not very difficult. What did Li Zongjiu mean by collecting information about the Yi clan? Wasn't this saying that he wanted to deal with the Yi clan? If the Yi clan wanted to settle the score and found Li Zongjiu, then Beihou Liang, who was in charge of collecting information, would naturally be punished as an accomplice. You want to deal with the Yi clan? Beihou Liang turned around to persuade Li Zongjiu. However, when he turned around, he realized that there was no one around. Li Zongjiu seemed to have disappeared into thin air. He had left just like that. If he could not deliver the information to Li Zongjiu after 3 days, Li Zongjiu would come personally. This was really terrifying. He was such a homicidal maniac. Although Beiho Liang's name was kept and Beiho Liang also knew that the person who killed Yi Guxing was Li Zhongjiu, no one would believe this news even if it was spread out. Moreover, he could not even protect himself now. The only way was to stand on Li Zhongjiu's side. This was because Li Zhongjiu was the only one who disdained to kill him. He would only have a chance to live if he stood firmly on the team. No matter how stupid Beiho Liang was, he would not be stupid enough to keep it a secret. After all, this kind of news did not have enough weight to prove it. In addition, the three elites of the assassination team had died directly. Therefore, the best explanation for Beiho Liang was that the assassination team had appeared in advance before he could arrive. However, they were killed by Li Zhongjiu. If Yi Lonmoon wanted to kill someone in the Heavenly Dawn medicine manner, then he had to leave Beiho Liang alive. The surrounding air seemed to have become colder and colder. Beiho Liang no longer hesitated. He immediately stood up and hurriedly left. The dirt on his body was also continuously scattered. Apart from the three corpses, there was nothing else in the forest. Suddenly, a groundhog emerged from the ground and hurriedly ran to the three corpses to sniff them. Then it quickly drilled back into the ground and disappeared. The next day, Heavenly Stellar Medicine Manor, 300 new students entered the residence. When they arrived with their name lists, they realized that they had already been assigned to different classes. Within the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor, it was divided into the Heavenly Dawn Institution and the Earth Branch Institution, two great institutions. The two departments were in a competitive relationship. Under the faculties, there were 4 faculties: A, B, C, and D. For example, Beiho Liang was a student of this Earth Branch Department's C Academy. On the surface, these faculties did not have a clear distinction between high and low. However, everyone could see that the A department was often the place where geniuses gathered. This was because on the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor's Alchemy Master ranking, most of the names were from the A department. The so-called Alchemy Master ranking was in fact a very obvious ranking. Every year, the students would be assessed based on points. If one's score was high, then one would be able to enter the Alchemy Master ranking. The Alchemy Master ranking was also a comprehensive assessment. Usually, one's score in the course would be directly linked to the Alchemy Master ranking. Apart from that, the annual year-end assessment would also be used to filter out those with poor grades, or even those with low motivation to learn. There would always be black sheep in any place. Therefore, even those who entered through the back door with strong connections might not be able to rest easy. If one was not careful, they would still be easily eliminated. Li Zhongjiu took his name list and came to the registration area. Li Zhongjiu, student number 01, Heavenly Dawn Medicine's A department reporting. The instructor in charge of the registration could not help but glance at Li Zhongjiu. To the outside world, Li Zhongjiu was merely a new student who obtained the first place. However, the instructors of the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor clearly knew the potential and strength of this Li Zhongjiu. This was because the elixir that Li Zhongjiu refined that day was actually lured out by the Heavenly Pool Spiritual Jiao. This kind of achievement was almost unimaginable. Ever since the Heavenly Pool Spiritual Jiao was injured, it had dived into the bottom of the Heavenly Pool. No one had seen this Heavenly Pool Spiritual Jiao again, and it did not pay much attention to the outside world. After all, this Heavenly Pool Spiritual Jiao was left behind by the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor's chief. Ordinary people would not be able to get close to it. Therefore, when this Heavenly Pool Spiritual Jiao was here, one could only use a probing method. If the other party did not want to bother with you, then it was impossible to summon it out. He is Li Zhongjiu. The Heavenly STEM Faculty A course. It is said that the Heavenly STEM Faculty A course never accepts new students. This Li Zhongjiu is actually so valued. Many people looked at Li Zhongjiu one after another. They were also quite shocked by the preferential treatment that Li Zhongjiu had received. This Sky Horizon A class was an extremely arrogant school. The top 10 alchemists on the Alchemy Master list were all from this Sky Horizon A class. Although the course record was a 4-year course, the Alchemy Master role would only calculate the total score. In other words, It was very difficult for a new student to enter the alchemy master role. However, there were still some messy rankings on the potential leaderboard. However, everyone paid attention to the rankings on the alchemy master role. The Heavenly STEM Faculty A course could be said to be the strongest course in the Heavenly Dawn Medicine manner. Those who were able to enter this course were led by the strongest instructors in the school. Even the two deans would personally appear to teach them. It was very difficult for the other courses to receive such treatment. This guy, how is this possible? The Heavenly STEM Faculty A course. I am only in the Earth Branch A course. From a macro perspective, the Earth Branch A course was stronger than the Heavenly STEM Faculty B course, and so on. However, this wasn't absolute. Every year, the students would have different explosive power. Usually, they would have their own strength and plans. They might not reveal their full strength too early. Therefore, Emo Suli was very indignant when he saw the course that he had been admitted into. Why was Li Zongjio able to enter the Heavenly STEM Faculty A course? Don't worry, he's not the only one. Mu Qingyun, who was like a shadow that followed the body, said with a smile. In the past 3 days, some of the instructors in the Heavenly Dawn Medicine manor had almost killed each other because of the quota allocation. Could it be that you are also in the Heavenly STEM Faculty A course? Emo Suli looked at Mu Qingyun. This Mu Qingyun's ranking was even lower than hers. If this guy could enter, then wouldn't Emo Suli be suppressed by this guy? If he knew that it would be so dark, then who would have stayed here? Therefore, Emo Suli had already decided that if this Mu Qingyun also entered the Heavenly STEM Faculty A course, then she would turn around and leave. She definitely wouldn't stay any longer. I'm in the same class as you. There's still one more. It's that guy. Following Mu Qingyun's gaze, she saw the bronze-skinned Kuan Erisher, who looked very sunny. Kuan Erisher, Heavenly STEM Faculty A course. Student number 01. Many thanks. Emo Suli instantly frowned. It hadn't even started yet, but she had already lost by a large margin. As someone of the same age, no. Emo Suli was older than the other party. She couldn't help but worry. If she couldn't step on this Li Zongjio and that Kuan Erisher, then her title as a genius would be in vain. Although this school wasn't as good as theirs, it definitely wouldn't be that bad. And that annoying guy. Shueihua received her student information. Heavenly STEM Faculty B course. Although it was 2 grades lower than the Heavenly STEM Faculty A course, the teaching locations of the 2 courses were very close to each other. When Shueihua saw that Li Zongjio, she immediately became angry from nowhere. It was this rich second generation that came out of nowhere that caused her to lose face. Moreover, this Li Zongjio had snatched away a cauldron that she fancied. This hatred sooner or later must be avenged. So this annoying guy is the even more annoying Li Zongjio. Chapter 327. Li Zongjio became the champion of the freshman assessment and deserved the title of newcomer king. However, the most important thing was that Li Zongjio didn't have the slightest bit of fame before. So much so that no one had even heard of Li Zongjio's name before. To be trampled on by such a nameless person, it was obviously very unpleasant. Therefore, many people believed that Li Zongjio either cheated, gave away money, or got in through the back door. Obviously, his background was very strong. Some people with talent didn't believe that there was someone more talented than them. If there was a chance, it was only a matter of time before a competition would take place. Of course, Li Zongjio didn't know that much. After receiving his student information, he was also led by a senior student. However, not long after he walked out, he bumped into a girl with a ponytail. Li Zongjio had a rather deep impression of this girl. After all, back in the Black North Giant City, this girl had always jumped in front of him. Gongjiu, leave this to me, Gongjiu said to the senior in front of him. The senior nodded and hurriedly left. After all, he wasn't from the Heavenly STEM Institution. If he entered the Heavenly STEM Institution's territory, he would feel an inexplicable creepiness. After all, there were too many experts there. If you stayed there for too long, you would feel a strong sense of oppression hanging over your head. How uncomfortable would that be? It was as if everyone was scrutinizing you when they saw you. Hey, junior brother Zongjio, we meet again. Gongjio said to Li Zongjio with a smile. Her hands were behind her back, and she wore a half-skirt with a bright and sunny smile on her face. She already knew that Li Zongjio would definitely succeed. Yeah. Li Zongjio nodded. The smile on Gongjio's face gradually froze. This Li Zongjio was really too boring. He still had such a cold expression on his face. Welcome to our Heavenly STEM Institution's A department. Let me introduce you to the surroundings, and at the same time explain the rules of the institution. You've been to the institution before, right? Gongjio also knew Li Zongjio's character. He was such a person, so there was nothing to be confused about. Nope. Li Zongjio replied. Gongjio also looked at Li Zongjio in astonishment. If he hadn't been to the institution before, everyone of his age should have been there before. At the very least, he should be literate. Right. However, it wasn't certain. After all, every family's situation was different. It doesn't matter. In any case, the rules of our Heavenly Star Medicine Manor are different from other places. In our Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, there are 2 classes every day. The classes are based on oneself. It doesn't matter if you don't come. However, at the end and beginning of every month, there will be classes for the Heavenly STEM Institution's Dean and the Earth Branch Institution's Dean. If you don't come, then you're basically dead. If you're expelled, then you'll be expelled. In addition, there's no distinction between new and old students. If you don't know the knowledge taught, then you'll have to learn it yourself. Apart from the classes, there will be a test every semester. In addition, you'll have to report to the Academic Affairs Department once a month to prove that you're still alive. The rest of the time can be arranged freely. You can use all the resources in the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. You can even listen to the classes of other teachers. There's a total of 6 classes. At the end of the semester, the teachers of each class will grade you. The grade will directly affect your ranking on the Alchemist ranking. Every year, the top 10 of the Alchemist ranking will have the opportunity to enter the forbidden area of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor to study and seek fortune. Suddenly, Li Zongjio stopped in his tracks. What Alchemist ranking? What classes? What nonsense? Li Zongjio wasn't interested in any of them. He was only interested in the forbidden area. This was also the reason why Li Zongjio traveled thousands of miles to the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. It was for the things in the forbidden area. Only the top 10 of the Alchemist ranking are qualified to enter the forbidden area? Li Zongjio asked. It was similar to the answer he got in his previous life. However, it was more specific. He didn't expect that there would be such a thing in it. That's right. You're also interested in this forbidden ground, right? Most of the top geniuses who come here are here for this forbidden ground. It's said that the forbidden ground contains the insights of a pill venerate of the supreme realm. Alchemist venerable? Li Zongjio sneered disdainfully in his heart. If that was really the case, then he was underestimating the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. Alchemist venerable? Li Zongjio already had that realm. However, it was still far from enough for him. He was afraid that the forbidden area contained the insights of an alchemist venerable. Thinking of this, Li Zongjio couldn't help but feel excited. How can I get those points quickly? Li Zongjio asked. This was the key point. Some people were too talented. These ordinary classes were a waste of time for them. Therefore, the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor knew how to not waste resources. They didn't want to attend classes and at the same time, they wanted to get those points. There was another way. Yes, of course. There was a glimmer of light in Gongjio's eyes. It was a glimmer of fighting spirit. Genius Tower. Genius Tower. It's that tower. There are 49 floors. There are 3 challenges on each floor. It's a difficult problem in the alchemy world. If you can solve one of them, you'll be able to get a lot of points. Some of the difficult questions in the Genius Pavilion are not simple matters to solve. Whoever solves them first will naturally obtain the most points. However, if one is able to supplement the solution, after being examined by the various deans and teachers, one will also obtain points. Li Zongjio looked over. He suddenly laughed in his heart. Genius Tower. Back then, the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor invited Li Zongjio to study the difficult problems in the Genius Tower. At that time, Li Zhongjie had already solved all the difficult problems in the first 48 floors. It shocked the entire alchemy world. However, Li Zhongjie's realm was still insufficient for the 49th floor, so it was impossible for him to solve it. However, in such a situation, after more than 2,000 years, he was already at the peak of existence. How many floors have been solved now? Currently, the senior brothers and sisters on the alchemy master ranking are trying their best to solve the last difficult problem on the 7th floor. Every floor was a hurdle. The further they went, the difficulty would be unimaginable. What a coincidence! Li Zhongjie knew all the answers to the Genius Tower. However, these people were only at this level. They couldn't even pass the 7th floor. How long had it been? The Genius Tower wasn't built by the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. It existed long ago. The Heavenly Star Medicine Manor existed to solve the secrets of the Genius Tower. Gong Jiu looked at the towering Genius Tower and said slowly, "If you can solve the difficult problems in the Genius Tower, you'll be able to become a supreme saint." Li Zhongjie said slowly. In his previous life, Li Zhongjie was an alchemy master. Therefore, he could easily solve the difficult problems in the first 48 floors. However, he hadn't reached the supreme saint realm yet. Therefore, he didn't know how to solve the problem on the 49th floor. As for what the problem was, it was hard to say. He had to use his own realm to comprehend it. However, Li Zhongjie wouldn't solve so many difficult problems in advance. If alchemists wanted to improve, they would first need to have an indomitable spirit of exploration. Even if they used the knowledge directly, it might not be the best. For them, it would even bring a certain degree of blockage and self-denial. Because in Li Zhongjie's eyes, most of the things refined by alchemists were no different from shit. Take it slow. You can do it too. It's up to a genius like you to solve these problems. We're here. The male dormitory is just ahead. 1 room per person. After all, the students of the Heavenly Day Medicine Manor all had some status. In the future, they would become super alchemists. Therefore, the treatment they received was naturally different. Although it was a large building, there were many rooms in the building. It was like a centralized super hotel. 1 room per person, 1 room per person. The only difference was that there was no lobby or waiter. Let me see your information. Oh, the first room on the left on the 6th floor is yours. Remember, classes will officially start tomorrow. All the notices will be written on the notice board in front of the dormitory building. Pay attention to it. After all, sometimes there will be training outside. Don't miss it. Gong Jiu said. Thank you. After Li Zhongjie finished speaking, he leaped into the air and flew directly to the corridor of the 6th floor. Take the stairs next time. Gong Jiu immediately shouted when he saw this. Chapter 328. Classes would officially begin the next day. Li Zhongjie did not care about classes, as he had no interest in them at all. He had a manual in his hand that detailed some rules, things to take note of in the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, and the locations of some functional buildings. For example, the location of the elixir selling building. The purpose of the elixir selling building was to sell elixirs. One could buy elixirs and sell their elixirs there. Of course, one could also sell their elixirs and herbs in the school's flea market. When one needed herbs, one could also search for them in the elixir selling building. The price of herbs was almost half of the outside world's price, but one could not bring them out. Why half? Because they had money. In order to nurture alchemists, the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor naturally had to use these herbs. Herbs that were extremely precious in the outside world could be found everywhere in the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. Preparing some medicinal herbs from time to time was a very comfortable thing. Of course, it was not allowed to resell them in large quantities. However, if one sold them in small quantities, no one would pursue the matter. However, the students of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor basically disdained to do such a thing. After taking a simple look at the rules, Li Zhongjie sat on the bed and started a day of cultivation. Li Zhongjie had to recite the White God Fu once a day, as the flying knife made from the boundless stone had an extremely strong effect on one's mind power. Therefore, Li Zongjie was able to improve very quickly during the recitation process. His yuan power cultivation had already broken through to the origin ancestor level, but his mind power was still stuck at the level 3 level, which was far from enough to keep up with this speed. He had to speed up his pace. Another month had passed since that half a year had passed. If Li Zongjie didn't remember wrongly, the original Universe 9 revolving needle was on the 14th floor of the Genius Tower. Once a difficult question in the Genius Building was solved, one would obtain the knowledge formed by the question and the answer itself. The Universe 9 rotating needle represented the knowledge on the 14th floor. Therefore, Li Zongjie only needed to solve this problem, and he would be able to obtain all the Universe 9 revolving needles. When Li Zongjie had obtained the Universe 9 revolving needle, he had casually thrown it to the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. This item was of no use to Li Zongjie, so he had thrown it away. However, who would have thought that Nan Sheng would need the Universe 9 revolving needles? Li Zongjie's alchemy skills in his previous life had already reached the pinnacle. What use did he have for acupuncture? The reason why he knew a little about acupuncture back in Guanxi town was because Li Zongjie had read it once and memorized it. Li Zongjie naturally knew that Santong would be in great danger if she left the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor. However, Li Zongjie had already imparted his skills to her. Hence, whether Santong could survive depended on her own luck and ability. If she could not handle it and died accidentally, Li Zongjie would not avenge her. After all, Li Zongjie was not her nanny. Moreover, Li Zongjie had his own matters to attend to. The Azura Cauldron seems to have an extraordinary origin. However, I have never heard of the Azura Cauldron in my previous life. Li Zongjie thought for a while. Indeed, he had never heard of it. After all, it had been so long. Many things could have happened in a few thousand years. This was simply impossible to calculate. Li Zongjie could not have known that he had been reborn and recorded everything in a small book. In the box that came with the Azura Cauldron was a blood-red stone. Azura stone? When Li Zongjie saw this stone, he was shocked. He had never heard of the Azura Cauldron, but Li Zongjie had heard of this Azura stone. Moreover, the appearance of this Azura stone had caused a storm. It was said that this Azura stone was soaked in the blood of Azura. Hence, this Azura stone contained a drop of Azura's blood. Azuras were said to be the killing gods of hell. Li Zongjie had never believed in such rumors before. Azuras were definitely just some kind of powerful origin beast. After all, no one had ever seen hell. However, Li Zongjie had already obtained a world-grade origin art from the soul of the Black Dragon Sovereign, the Hell Prajnang art. This directly proved the existence of hell, and that hell was just a relatively more powerful space. Therefore, the Azura stone in his hand, and the legend of Azura's blood might not be fake. Whether it's real or fake, I just need to test it out. In the next moment, Li Zongjie grabbed the Azura stone in his hand. Li Zongjie activated the Yuan mantra in his body, and immediately, a surge of energy gushed into the Azura stone. Instantly, a terrifying energy erupted from the Azura stone, as if it wanted to suck Li Zongjie's blood and soul into the stone. "You want to eat me?" Li Zongjie immediately snorted coldly. How could the great evil lord be devoured by a mere stone? In the next moment, Li Zongjie mobilized his mental energy and rushed towards the Azura stone with all his might. Bang! The Azura stone immediately trembled. An intense aura erupted from within the Azura stone. In the end, it transformed into a blood-red figure that appeared within Li Zongjie's mind. Chapter 329. The blood-red figure that appeared in his mind was nearly 10 feet tall, and beneath its feet was a sea of blood. Li Zongjie was shocked to see its terrifying aura. "It's really big, but this is my territory, not yours." A ray of light rose from Li Zongjie's palm. Within the light, there was a flying knife that was slowly rotating. The blood shadow Azura in front of him was neither strong nor weak. If he wanted to completely erase it, he would need a strong mental power. As for Li Zongjie's strongest moves, they were the obsidian flame and the flying knife. Seeing Li Zongjie move, the blood shadow Azura roared. The power of blood in its hands condensed into a long knife, and it slashed down at Li Zhongjiu. The knife was accompanied by a terrifying bloody light. Go! Li Zhongjiu aimed at his opponent, and with a flick of his hand, the flying knife left his hand. At the same time, as the flying knife flew up, it brought along a black light and rushed out. Boom! The flying knife was as thin as a cicada's wing, and as it flew, it was extremely cold. When the blood shadow Azura landed, it slashed at the flying knife. The power of the flying knife broke through the sea of blood in front of it. Around the flying knife, a terrifying light burned, directly burning the surrounding blood until there was nothing left. The blood shadow Azura also felt the terrifying power coming at it. He immediately let out a low roar. But it was immediately defeated by the terrifying mental power of the flying knife. Boom! The blood shadow Azura's body immediately exploded on the spot. The terrifying power poured down, scattering into the sky, and terrifying blood fell to the ground. Li Zhongjiu reached out with his hand, and the blood was directly sucked into his hand. In the process of condensing, the blood was continuously compressed until it was finally compressed into a palm-sized blood bead in his hand. When the blood bead appeared, Li Zhongjiu's eyes lit up as he looked at it. Is this the Azura blood? In his previous life, there was someone who had accidentally absorbed this drop of Azura's blood. However, he was unable to control the killing power of the blood within his body. As a result, that person had committed the heinous crime of killing. Back then, the Shengyan dynasty had sent out many experts. In the end, they had paid a painful price to kill that person. After all, at the very beginning, the Shengyan dynasty was not decisive, which led to the loss of many experts, and the Shura blood could be said to be stronger the more they killed. However, it was fortunate that he had stopped it in time. Without hesitation, Li Zhongjiu stuffed the Azura blood into his mouth and swallowed it whole. After swallowing the Azura blood into his stomach, he completely condensed this power and withdrew from the spiritual world. Li Zhongjiu sat on the bed and immediately felt as if his whole body was being cut by knives. The Azura blood was rampaging in his body, as if it was constantly looking for a way out. However, Li Zhongjiu's origin power had completely suppressed it within his body. Evil Soul Eye. Feeling the restlessness of the Azura blood, Li Zhongjiu immediately forced himself to use his secret skill. The Evil Soul Eye was Li Zhongjiu's trump card. He would only use it at a critical moment. Under the gaze of the Evil Soul Eye, the Azura blood finally calmed down. It stayed under Li Zhongjiu's control, waiting for Li Zhongjiu's power to descend. The blood dragon soul in the origin bead seemed to like the Azura blood very much. It directly stole more than half of the Azura blood's power, strengthening the blood dragon soul's power. Roar! The blood dragon soul roared. Li Zhongjiu's murderous aura instantly condensed, and the entire dormitory was immediately enveloped by this power. The appearance of this power directly alarmed many of the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor's guardians. One by one, they erupted with their Yuan spirit power and soared into the sky. Who dares to be impudent in the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor? The power of the bloody light just now was clearly aimed at the male dormitory and the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor. Therefore, this power was extremely tyrannical and precise. However, it came quickly and left quickly. In the blink of an eye, it had already disappeared without a trace. When a group of guardians rushed into the sky, they realized that the monstrous murderous aura had disappeared. That aura just now was at least that of a Yuan monarch elite. The disciples of the academy did not have such strength. They had not expected that someone would be so bold as to covet the people of the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor. Could it be that they wanted to make a move in the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor? The more this was the case, the more they had to let these people know how powerful they were. It seems like someone has been unable to control himself recently and wants to make a move on the disciples of the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor. I would like to see who is so bold. Angering the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor was not an easy thing to get away with. The consequences could be said to be rather serious. After today's incident, they had to deploy more people around the area and pay more attention to their surroundings. Even Monarch City was not the safest place. The safest place was of course one's own hands. As long as one's strength was strong enough, one would be absolutely safe no matter where one went. Li Zongjiu easily controlled this bloody aura. He suppressed it within his body. The blood dragon's soul seemed to be a little excited, but it was restrained by Li Zongjiu. Otherwise, it would have been blinded by the murderous aura just now. Then, it would have been dominated by the murderous aura. Even if one knew that one's condition was not right, there was no way to control this power. This was the most tragic moment. It's just a drop of blood, yet it possesses such terrifying power. How strong would a real Azura be? Li Zongjiu could not help but wonder. If Azura came from hell, then he might be extremely strong. However, one thing was certain, he had yet to reach the Saint Realm. If he had reached the Saint Realm, then Li Zongjiu would not have been able to refine this blood so easily. My Yuan power has increased by another grade. Second grade Origin Ancestor Realm. Almost no one would dare to believe that this kind of breakthrough speed was possible. It was a little too monstrous. Before this, Li Zongjiu had not had much time to break through to the Origin Ancestor Realm. I'm not in a hurry to go to the Genius Tower yet. I don't have many elixirs left. I have to replenish them. Li Zongjiu looked at his empty storage ring. He still couldn't keep up with the consumption. It seemed like he had to refine more elixirs. Li Zongjiu obtained some money from the corpses of the assassins yesterday. Li Zongjiu went to the pharmacy. The elixirs here are indeed cheap. This little benefit is not bad. In the outside world, a stock of a third-grade elixir would cost at least 10,000 gold yuan. However, in the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, it would only cost 3,000 gold yuan. There was even a discount if one bought 1,000 stocks in one go. Clearly, this was to encourage the students to refine elixirs. After all, they had not practiced for 3 days. No matter how strong their theoretical experience was, they still needed to operate their own bodies to succeed. I want 500 stalks of tiger tail orchid, 500 stalks of sky sunflower, 500 stalks of earthine flower. Li Zongjiu wrote down his requirements and the quantity of elixirs. The staff of the medicine store did not seem surprised by the large quantity of elixirs he had requested. After all, the students who came here basically did the same thing. Very few people bought elixirs stock by stock, as they were not that poor. If they casually refined an elixir, they could put it in the medicine store and sell it. Wouldn't they be able to earn money this way? However, the medicine store did not purchase elixirs below the 3rd grade. Therefore, they still needed to cross this threshold. However, for the students who could enter the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, it would not take long for them to cross the threshold of the 3rd grade alchemist. As for how much of their success rate they could achieve, it would depend on their own ability. Your elixirs will cost a total of 5 million gold yuan. These were only ordinary materials. However, with Li Zongjiu's strength, he could turn something rotten into something magical. Of course, he would still need some supplementary elixirs. With my current strength, I might be able to challenge the Daluo Heaven Vein Elixir. The Daluo Heaven Vein Elixir. It was an elixir refined with the 7-star Heavenly Vein as the main ingredient. It was a 5th grade elixir. Li Zongjiu had experience in refining elixirs. As for strength, with his current strength of a 2nd grade origin ancestor, and the protection of the 4 great origin spirits, it was not impossible. However, Li Zongjiu first needed to familiarize himself with the Azura cauldron in his hands. In addition, he also needed to prepare a few more elixirs. Excuse me, does this place sell the Great Desolate Grass? Li Zongjiu asked. The person who had been sleepy all this time also opened his eyes wide. Someone with good taste actually knew about the Great Desolate Grass. There were not many people who knew about the Great Desolate Grass. Not this month, but there are 30 stalks coming in next month. Do you want to reserve them? I'll take them all, Li Zongjiu said. He did not expect the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor to be so capable. They could even get the Great Desolate Grass. If it was not for entering the forbidden area to gain experience, Li Zongjiu would have collected a large number of herbs to refine alchemy pills, and then raised his strength. At the same time, He would have cleaned up all the people who would be a threat in the future. The effect of the heavenly flame tower's origin pattern formation is not bad. If it was not for the fact that he had mobilized so much flame power to rush into the Azura cauldron at the last critical moment. In the end, only half of the alchemy pills would have been successful. The rest would have been directly melted. Li Zhongjie kept the Azura cauldron. The alchemy pills in his hand were already enough to last him for a month. Of course, if there were no accidents. He put the key back in its original position. When he walked out, he saw many people blocking the door. They seemed to be waiting for someone. When Li Zhongjie pushed open the door and walked out, the leader of the group looked over. "Senior brother Morong, it's him." One of the people who had been knocked down by Li Zhongjie hurriedly said to Morong Jian. Morong Jian immediately took a step forward and stood in front of Li Zhongjie. The rest of the people also came up and surrounded Li Zhongjie. "Were you the one refining the alchemy pills?" Morong Jian coldly looked at Li Zhongjie. Li Zhongjie looked at the people surrounding him with disdain. Then he looked at Morong Jian. "Scram." Morong Jian's indifferent tone and disdainful gaze. There was actually someone who dared to ask Morong Jian to scram in the Heavenly Star Medicine manner? Could it be that the new students these days did not bring their brains in? How could they enter the Heavenly Star Medicine manner with such intellect? Morong Jian's gaze suddenly became ferocious. The surrounding students also became extremely frightened. Besides his strong alchemy talent, the reason why Morong Jian was so famous was because he was a prince in the Sacred Flame Royal City. Although he was not the legitimate prince, he was still conferred the title by the royal family. Morong Jian's father was one of the top 10 experts in the Xingyan dynasty, Emperor Morong Yunzhan. He was a true powerhouse at the Yuan King level. Putting aside his relationship with the royal family, how many people would dare to provoke the steward who had the strength of a Yuan King? Morong Jian was tested to have an alchemy talent, and became Morong Yunzhan's most beloved son. Who would dare to provoke Morong Jian? Now this new student who came out of nowhere actually dared to ask Morong Jian to scram. Chapter 331. Although there was no such rule, the alchemists on the alchemy master ranking were all grade 4 alchemists. Morong Jian was a grade 4 middle alchemist. As long as he could refine a grade 4 high alchemy pill, he would have a chance to compete with the 10th ranked alchemist on the alchemy master ranking. To enter the top 10, one would need to be a grade 4 high alchemist. Even the chief of the Black North Giant Cities Medicine Alliance, Han Qinglu, he was only a grade 4 low alchemist. Could it be that the strength of the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor students were all monsters? This was too terrifying. To be able to enter the top 10 of the alchemy master ranking, one would need such strength. The top 10 alchemists of the alchemist list were basically all level 4 advanced alchemists. As for whether there were any stronger alchemists, it was unknown. At this level, a slight exposure of one's strength would be easily noticed by the opponent. Therefore, this was a very important thing. It was precisely because the alchemy this time had been prepared for a long time, and was very well prepared. Hence, when the alchemists came, they specially greeted them, and arranged for some people to guard the door, to prevent any disturbances. After Li Zhongjie sat down, he felt that although the alchemy room was sealed, it had the function of ventilation. It should be the effect of the Yuan rune array. The dark red Azura cauldron was placed on the ground. After the center of the rune array sensed the presence of the Azura cauldron, it automatically lit up. As long as one poured in his Yuan rune array, it would form a powerful flame, and pour it into the cauldron. Let's familiarize ourselves with the Azura cauldron first. Li Zhongjie poured the obsidian fire into the cauldron. Without using the power of the Yuan rune array, the obsidian fire burned quietly in the Azura cauldron. The high temperature of the obsidian fire was applied to the Azura cauldron, but the cauldron itself did not emit any heat. This meant that the temperature was well maintained. Not bad. A cauldron with this kind of performance is not expensive even if it is sold for 100 million. Li Zhongjie nodded inwardly. As a sovereign alchemist, he did not need to waste too much time. He directly threw in all kinds of herbs into the cauldron. The burning sparks immediately refined the herbs. With Li Zhongjie's experience, even if the conditions were relatively simple, it was still possible to refine pills. In fact, there were even some combinations where the herbs weren't of a high grade, but it was possible to refine even higher grade pills. That was true ability. He used all the herbs that he bought from the medicine store. There was a total of 50 sets of pills. Li Zhongjie threw them all into the Azura furnace in one go, preparing to refine them all in one go. 50 pills in one go. And they were all grade 4 pills. The 5 High Alchemists Cauldron Soul Cauldron Alchemists Cauldron level. 5 Alchemists level was Cauldron Master Array. Level Master Soul Strength. Was refining. 1 Heart Spirit Soul Power. Level Alchemist. Would Master Will Stronger. Strong transcends strength. Great level strength. Although they were not the same thing, they were closely related. The Triflower Soul Gathering Pill only had the effect of strengthening one's yuan power. At the same time, it could also refresh one's mind and strengthen one's foundation. However, the effect of the 5 Soul Essence Pill was clearly even more powerful. Among the pills, it was ranked as a mid-grade grade 4 pill. With Li Zhongjie's current strength, it was not difficult for him to refine it. When Li Zhongjie had refined the 3 Flower Energy Gathering Elixir, his yuan power had still been at the level of a yuan general. Now he was already at the level of a yuan ancestor. Furthermore, he had the Azura Cauldron, which was comparable to a grade 6 yuan artifact. Naturally, it was easy to do. As the flames burned fiercely, some of the medicinal ingredients within the pill furnace emitted crackling sounds. It was an extremely enjoyable sound to listen to. Because there were a lot of herbs, Li Zhongjie wasn't in a hurry. When he was free, Li Zhongjie even read the White God poem. In the end, that white dragon origin spirit also appeared, guarding Li Zhongjie's medicinal cauldron. Boom! The obsidian flame burned fiercely. The few people outside the heavenly flame house also slowly woke up. At this moment they glanced at each other. They did not know when that fella had snuck in. If he really caused any trouble, they would be in trouble. No, we have to call some people. If that fella dares to mess around, we will directly cripple him. Senior brother Morong's refining is extremely important. If he is interrupted, the consequences will be unimaginable. Quickly call some people. We can't let that fella escape. Someone roared. Immediately, the few of them split up. Who would have thought that the 5 of them, seniors, would actually be taken care of by a freshman? If this matter were to spread out, it would be an extremely shameful matter. Therefore, it was better for everyone to keep this matter to themselves. At this moment, Morong Jian had already reached a crucial moment in refining the pill. All of the herbs were being carefully refined. Behind Morong Jian, a fiery red dragon was floating. The dragon was roaring in a low voice. It was actually a rank 5 explosive flame dragon. Although it had yet to mature into a complete form, it was still a Yuan King bloodline. The existence of such a Yuan spirit directly became a powerful support. The explosive flame dragon roared and spat out flames in the air, helping Morong Jian condense the medicinal liquid in his hand. Condense. It took a lot of effort and a long period of output to finally condense the medicinal liquid. Seeing that the most difficult step had been passed, the next step was to maintain the flame at an extremely high level. Then, the medicinal liquid would display its power and form the pill. This was enough for Morong Jian to refine the pill. I spent a lot of money to find the improved pill formula of the 5 Soul Origin pill. The success rate is indeed extraordinary. With such a success rate, it is enough for me to successfully refine the pill. The pill that Morong Jian was refining was actually the 5 Soul Origin pill. The improvement of a pill formula was a very important matter for alchemists. In the end, it was also a very beneficial thing. For example, Morong Jian had grasped the latest and improved pill formula. It would be better and easier for him to refine a rank 4 middle pill. He would become a celebrity on the alchemist ranking in advance. Therefore, this refinement was very important for Morong Jian. Time passed. The medicinal liquid in the medicinal cauldron had already started to condense and continue to condense energy. Activate the energy. Morong Jian poured his Yuan Qi into the Heavenly Fire Pagoda. The Yuan Rune array of the Heavenly Fire Pagoda immediately erupted with a terrifying power and surged towards Morongjian. From the outside, one could see the light emitted from the heavenly fire pagoda. The scene that was shown caused the people outside to cry out in surprise. It's here. Senior brother Morong has activated at least 1/3 of the heavenly fire pagoda's power. The power within the heavenly fire pagoda was only used to accelerate the impact at a critical moment. For example, the final push required the power of the heavenly fire pagoda's Yuan rune array. Boom! Just as 1/3 of the Yuan pattern array's might was unleashed, its power suddenly surged. The members of the Earth branch, who were waiting below, were all watching this scene unfold. Damn, the energy of the Yuan rune array has soared. It has already reached half of its power. Could it be that senior brother Morong is refining a rank 5 elixir? Someone cried out in surprise. However, the situation here was not over yet. The Yuan rune array of the heavenly fire pagoda was still releasing its power. In the end, the might of the entire heavenly flame house was unleashed, lighting up with a terrifying radiance. Seeing this scene, even some of the people who were still training in other places stood up one after another and looked towards the direction of the building. It had been a long time since the heavenly fire pagoda was so lively. After all, even if they were refining a rank 4 middle pill, they could only activate 1/3 of the Yuan rune array's power. But now, it had reached half of its power, or even higher. Boom! The alchemy cauldron in Morongjian's hand instantly let out a muffled sound. The medicinal cauldron violently shook. Morongjian could clearly see the terrifying black smoke rising from his own medicinal cauldron. When he saw the black smoke rising, Morongjian's face was so gloomy that it was about to drip water. Chapter 333. You still don't know who I am, right? Morongjian's lips curled into a cold smile. If this wasn't the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, he would definitely let this Li Zongjiu have a taste of the power of his Morong family's war god fist. But even if this was the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, he wouldn't let this Li Zongjiu off so easily. Such audacity! Who the hell are you? Li Zongjiu looked at Morongjian. Morongjian's words had ignited Morongjian's anger. With his status, if he were to teach a new student a lesson, it would be a loss of his status. Bullying the weak, it would cause people to gossip. Furthermore, as a student of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, he didn't recommend using violence to solve problems. The most direct method was to have an alchemy battle. Very well, kid. Do you dare to have an alchemy battle with me? Whoever loses will be the alchemy boy of the other party for 3 months. Do you dare or not? Morongjian coldly looked at Li Zongjiu. Looking at Li Zongjiu's appearance, he probably didn't have much money to compensate. If he were to become the alchemy boy, he would have many ways to torture Li Zongjiu. As long as Li Zongjiu agreed, Morongjian would have 100 ways to make Li Zongjiu piss his pants. This was confidence. If he didn't even have this confidence, then what was the point of staying in the academy? The 12th place on the alchemy master ranking wasn't for nothing. If he couldn't even handle a new student, then he, Morongjian, wouldn't be able to stay in the academy. Idiot, if you don't get lost, I'll make my move. Although Li Zongjiu knew that a place like the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor would have a lot of arrogant people who were actually idiots, he never thought that he would meet one on the first day. Fortunately, he had encountered it himself. If he had encountered someone with a bad temper, he would have been in trouble. Kid, your intestines would probably have been dug out by someone by now. Still want to compete in alchemy? More like compete your grandpa. Li Zongjiu's repeated curses had already made Morongjian feel that his face had been swept to the ground. Furthermore, his invitation for an alchemy battle was directly ignored. This was an extremely provocative action, because there was another hidden meaning behind it. That was, no matter what you say, I don't think you have the qualifications to compete with me in alchemy. What are you doing here? Causing trouble in the middle of the night? Is this Heavenly Flame Pavilion a place for you to fight and cause trouble? It seems that the mission given to you is too light. Are all of you itching for a beating? Just as Morongjian was about to explode, 2 student teachers walked over. In the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor, the mentors and elders were separate organizations. The elders usually did not interact with the students. They were responsible for providing services and even protection in certain areas. On the other hand, the instructors had the right to supervise the students. Furthermore, they could also give out rewards and punishments based on your usual situation. If all of your points were deducted, then even if your skills were high, you would not be able to enter the alchemy master ranking. Therefore, when they saw the two mentors walk over, these people all became well-behaved. Even the insufferably arrogant Morong Jian, who looked as if he wanted to eat someone, also withdrew his fierce expression. Teacher Xuelin, Teacher Jiang. The students all politely greeted them. The ones who came were a man and a woman. The man was close to 50 years old and had a white goatee on his chin. He gave off a sage-like feeling, as if he could easily refine an elixir with a wave of his sleeve. The other was a beautiful woman in her 20s. The woman's clothes were simple, and there was a faint medicinal fragrance on her body. However, she had a string of copper bells in her hand. The copper bells were called the 1,000 medicine bells. It was a souvenir for the top 10 participants of the Holy Flame Alchemist competition. Just the 1,000 medicine bells alone showed that this woman's identity was not ordinary. Now that she had become an instructor of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, the Holy Flame Alchemist competition would gather all the alchemists under the age of 25 to compete. After winning, there would be a very generous reward. Of course, to these alchemists, the reward was understandable. The most important thing was reputation. How many people in this world could be indifferent to fame and fortune? Either they were cowards and knew that they could not win, so they did not participate. There were many excuses. Whether you believed it or not was up to you. The woman's name was Yang Xuelin. She was the 10th place winner of the previous alchemist competition. In the entire world, among so many young alchemists, she stood out. She was qualified to become an instructor of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. In addition, before graduation, Yang Xuelin's ranking had always been 3rd place on the Alchemist Master ranking. With such an impressive result, it was no wonder that these students were so obedient. In front of Yang Xuelin, they did not have the right to be impudent. In terms of family background, she was not bad. In terms of strength, she was several heads higher than you. What right did you have to order her around? Yang Xuelin swept a glance. Morong Jian was not someone to be trifled with. There was actually someone who dared to provoke Morong Jian. This was interesting. What are you doing here? Are you not going to attend class tomorrow? Yang Xuelin said indifferently, although they were only a few years old. In front of Yang Xuelin, these people were like children. They stood there obediently. Even Morong Jian could feel a sense of oppression from Yang Xuelin. However, in Morong Jian's eyes, that trace of adoration was still there. It did not disappear. However, he needed to hide it now. He could not let others see it. It was a little too early to pursue Yang Xuelin now. At the very least, he needed to wait until he participated in the alchemist competition. Again, originally, he could have reached the 10th place on the alchemist master ranking today. However, he was interrupted by that damned brat Li Zongjio. This made Morong Jian even angrier. He could not help but want to directly cut off Li Zongjio's head. No, this is not a new junior brother. He doesn't know the way. We are just showing him the way. A more tactful person looked at the current situation and smiled as he walked out to smooth things over. Could it be that Li Zongjio insulted Morong Jian in front of everyone, and now Morong Jian wanted to kill him? I didn't ask you, Yang Xuelin said. She then looked at Li Zongjio. This fool wants to compete with me in alchemy. I don't have time, so he wants to call people to beat me up. Li Zongjio said. His tone was helpless. It sounded like Li Zongjio was the weaker party and was being bullied. However, Li Zongjio was very arrogant just now. Everyone saw it. Now that he came here and purposely pretended to be weak, it was really disgusting. However, it's fortunate that they met me. If they met someone with a bad temper outside, all of them can forget about living. After saying that, Li Zongjio gestured to the people in front of him. Such an arrogant attitude. Wasn't the subtext meaning that if they accidentally provoked him outside, they would be killed by Li Zongjio? He was blatantly threatening them. One of them was even the son of Morong Wang. Although the rest of them couldn't be compared to Morong Jian in terms of status, They were definitely not ordinary people. Did Li Zongjio know the weight of his words? When Yang Xuelin heard Li Zongjio's words, her eyes were wide open. She didn't expect Li Zongjio to say such words. Morongjian's people knew how to smooth things over and ease the tension between them. However, Li Zongjio didn't plan to give them any face. Morongjian's face had already turned green. Even his fists were clenched so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. If there weren't so many people present, Li Zongjio would have been pressed to the ground and beaten up. What's your name? Which class are you from? Yang Xuelin couldn't help but ask. Heavenly STEM Department A class, Li Zongjio. Chapter 334. Heavenly STEM Department A class. Freshmen. It was said that this year, only 2 freshmen were admitted into the Heavenly STEM Department A class directly. Otherwise, to enter the Heavenly STEM Department A class, one would need to perform well for half a year. Only with excellent performance would one be able to enter the Heavenly STEM Department A class. It was the only class that was special. Moreover, until now there were only 15 students in the Heavenly STEM Department A class. Including Li Zongjio and Kuan Erisher, there were only 17 students in total. Moreover, amongst these students, there were already 10 names on the alchemist ranking. The top 10 were all from the A class of the Heavenly Influence Department. With this kind of strength, they were basically the ace class that the Academy had specially created. After all, as the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, it naturally needed some strong students to compete for the ranking. It wasn't within the school, but between the schools. There would often be some prestigious competitions. At that time, someone would need to participate and obtain a ranking to convince the public. Li Zongjio? You're the Li Zongjio who alarmed the Heavenly Pool Spiritual Jiao? Morongjian was also shocked. The Heavenly Pool Spiritual Jiao was a difficult problem in the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. After all, the Heavenly Pool Spiritual Jiao's standards were very high. It wouldn't even bother to eat elixirs refined by ordinary people. Therefore, if someone's elixir could attract the Heavenly Pool Spiritual Jiao, it was also a kind of recognition and proof. Therefore, after this incident, Li Zongjio's reputation had also entered the ears of the teachers and students. So it was the legendary Li Zongjio. No wonder he was so arrogant. But so what if he was Li Zongjio? The one he provoked today was Morongjian. So it's you. It's your first day in the school. Are you trying to overturn the heavens? Disperse. Yang Xuelin said. In other people's opinion, Li Zongjio might have left, but Yang Xuelin's strength was not weak. At least for now, it was not a problem for her to suppress Li Zongjio. After all, she was several years older than him. Then Li Zongjio would be able to dominate this place. We'll take our leave first. Goodbye, teacher. Morongjian also cupped his hands together and fiercely glared at Li Zongjio before turning around and leaving with a flick of his sleeves. If you dare to glare at me again, I'll dig your eyes out. Li Zongjio pointed at Morongjian and cursed. Li Zongjio did not turn around. Now that Yang Xuelin was here, it was impossible for her to make a move. Naturally, Morongjian let Li Zongjio have the advantage of words. However, this scene also made many people think that Li Zongjio was too arrogant. Tomorrow morning, Li Zongjio's arrogant reputation would probably spread throughout the entire Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. The 8 classes of these 2 great courtyards would thoroughly know how difficult it was to deal with Li Zongjio. A new student who just came in had actually offended Morongjian, who was ranked 12th on the alchemist ranking. This time, there would be a good show to watch. The 2 of you goodbye. Li Zongjio cupped his hands and said to the 2 of them. Although he was here to enter the school, he was not here to become a disciple. Therefore, he did not treat these people as his teachers. Seeing Li Zongjio being so arrogant, Yang Xuelin and old Jiang helplessly shook their heads. Young and impetuous. This is even more arrogant than you were back then. Old Jiang said with a smile. Teacher, you must be joking. Yang Xuelin also helplessly smiled. When she was in the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, old Jiang was her teacher. On the road of growth, he had also brought a lot of help to Yang Xuelin. Therefore, Yang Xuelin was also very respectful towards him. In my opinion, there is no need to check. The elixir aura on Li Zhongjiu's body is the aura of the 5 soul essence pill. From the mixed aura, it seems that he refined more than one pill at a time. Old Jiang narrowed his eyes and said, although he didn't say a single word, and his entire person seemed to be invisible, he was the one who observed the most carefully among the people present. Moreover, Old Jiang's alchemy cultivation was also the highest among the people present. Although his alchemy level might not be as good as the current young Xuelin, in terms of experience, he was still more powerful than some of the young people. Therefore, although Li Zhongjiu only carried a little bit of elixir on his body, he immediately sensed it. What? He just entered the school. How could he refine level 4 middle elixir? And more than one? This time, Yang Xuelin was shocked. Even Yang Xuelin was only a level 4 peak alchemist, and had not broken through to the level 5. Naturally, it was not a problem to refine a middle grade 4 medicinal pill. However, to refine 2 or more pills at once would be a little difficult. But Li Zhongjiu was actually able to refine more than one middle elixir at the same time. And they were all level 4 middle elixir. Then, wouldn't his level be on par with Yang Xuelin's? Some people don't come here to study. After all, the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor doesn't necessarily offer the best. There are really top-notch places. The Heavenly Star Medicine Manor can only be considered as a slightly better place. Old Jiang said. Originally, they came to see what was going on in the Heavenly Flame House. After all, it was very difficult to not notice such a big movement. However, when they came here they did not show up. But when they saw that Li Zhongjiu was about to fight with them, they came out and tried to dissuade them. If they were to fight, the consequences would be unimaginable. No matter which side lost, the impact would be very bad. That's true. Yang Xuelin nodded. When she first entered the Heavenly Time Medicine Mansion, she thought that everyone was powerful and mysterious. But after she graduated, she came into contact with a higher level. She finally understood that the Heavenly Time Medicine Mansion was only the highest level of learning for ordinary people. There were also many cultivation places that ordinary people could not come into contact with. Only when your realm reached a certain level, then you could come into contact with this level. Now Yang Xuelin was slowly coming into contact with this level. If she wanted to go further, then she must first increase her strength. This was the most important thing. The two of them also left. It was fine as long as the conflict did not escalate. However, from the looks of it, the dispute between Li Zhongjiu and Murong Jian would not end so easily. She did not know what Li Zhongjiu wanted to do. He actually provoked people like Murong Jian. Murong Jian was not someone to be trifled with. However, Yang Xuelin also saw the detachment in Li Zhongjiu's eyes. Although he looked stupid, in fact, Li Zhongjiu did not put these people in his eyes. He did not even put the Heavenly Time Medicine Mansion in his eyes. How can there be such a person? Let me check this kid's background. At this moment, the night was dark and the wind was strong. In a dense forest 20 miles away from the sacred Flame Royal City, Santong's figure was hiding on a tree trunk. He was restraining his aura. The sword in his hand was also stained with blood. A few figures whizzed through the forest. When he landed, he quickly carried out a round of interrogation. Over there. Don't let him escape. We must catch him, otherwise you and I will not be able to live. The few men in black roared. Santong held his breath. When he saw the last man rushing in a direction, Santong quietly caught up with him. Since you want to play, I'll play with you. Let's fight until the world turns upside down. Chapter 335. The next day early morning. Dong dong dong. Li Zhongjiu opened his eyes. The sky was already bright. After opening the door, he saw Kuan Erishur standing at the door. Morning, I live next door to you. Shall we go to class together? Kuan Erishur said. Kuan Erishur was very lucky to be able to enter the A class at the same time. According to common sense, Kuan Erishur shouldn't be able to enter the A class. However, his identity in Kuan Castle gave him extra points. Furthermore, this Heavenly Day Medicine Manor didn't want Li Zhongjiu to be arrogant. They needed to nurture a genius of the same level and let them compete with each other. That was why they sent two of them in at the same time. Not interested. Li Zhongjiu closed the door after saying that. Not interested. Kuan Erasure widened his eyes. This Li Zhongjiu went through so much trouble and came all the way here just to enter this heavenly day medicine manor. Now that he could go to class, he actually said that he wasn't interested. Could it be that he heard wrongly? This first class is a class with a great beauty. I heard that she's the winner of the last alchemist competition. TSK, you're really not interested? Kuan Erasure shouted at Li Zhongjiu's door. However, there was no response. It was as if she had disappeared. This cultivation maniac. Kuan Erasure shook his head helplessly and went to class alone. When Kuan Erasure arrived at the classroom, he only saw a lazy figure sitting on the podium in the empty classroom. Oh, you're alone? Isn't there a new student? The person on the podium was wearing an alluring red robe. If one didn't know, they would think that it was a nightgown. The robe was slim and tight, perfectly outlining the figure of the lecturer in front of him. With such a figure, anyone who saw it couldn't help but swallow their saliva. Kuan Erasure was naturally feeling smug in his heart. He never thought that the Heavenly Day Medicine Manor's teaching environment would be so good. Tutor greetings. I'm Kuan Erasure. There's another one. He's not feeling well. Kuan Erasure was actually a little nervous. He found a seat in the middle and sat down. That guy is pretty gutsy. He actually dared to skip class on the first day. I'll remember it. Also, my name is Ling Yan. You can call me Sister Yan. I'm your homeroom teacher, not a teacher. Our class doesn't have classes. You're free to move around. You can attend any teacher's class. Alright, scram. Don't stay in front of me. At the end of the semester, if you can't break through to advanced level 4, then don't stay in my class. Pack up your bed and leave. The red-robed woman said indifferently. She waved her hand casually. Even her posture of telling people to scram was extremely charming, causing people to be unable to extricate themselves from it. Got it. Kuan Erasure didn't think that it would be such a situation. This extremely charming, homeroom teacher didn't seem like a person to be trifled with. Moreover, from the looks of it, if he were to cause any trouble for her, he might just end up getting a good beating. Alright, go tell that guy called Li Zhongjiu to restrain himself a little. Don't cause too much trouble for me. If there's any problem with my year-end performance evaluation, not only will I kick you out of the A class, I can also kick you out of the Heavenly Day Medicine Manor. I don't want you. Let's see which class dares to accept you. Ling Yan gave people the feeling of an arrogant big sister. Her words stunned Kuan Erasure into not daring to even let out a fart. He repeatedly bowed, and then left the classroom. After Kuan Erasure left, Ling Yan also looked outside, and let out a sigh of relief. This little bastard. I originally wanted to give them a show of strength, but they actually dared to not show up. They are really arrogant. You don't want to show up, right? You want to be an ascetic monk, right? Let's see how you will bow down to me. From this point, it could be seen that this Ling Yan was definitely not a person to be trifled with. Coincidentally, this Ling Yan obtained the 5th place in the last alchemist competition. Before that, she was even the number 1 on the alchemist ranking. At such a young age, she was already a 5th grade alchemist. With this kind of ability, she indeed had the qualifications to say such words, and even lead such a class. Of course, this class only had 2 people, Li Zhongjiu and Kuan Erasure. In fact, this was also Ling Yan's first time being a homeroom teacher. Originally, this a class of the Heavenly Day Medicine Manors, a class was just opened. Naturally, a homeroom teacher was needed. Ling Yan graduated less than a year ago. Originally, she was just an elder in the Heavenly Day Medicine Manor, a casual job. After all, the elusive mansion master was her biological grandfather. Moreover, he directly asked the 2 headmaster grandpas to watch over her, and not let her run around. Now, he even directly took out 2 troublemakers, and asked him to watch over them. How could this be? Of course, he had to show off his prestige. However, what Ling Yan didn't expect was that Li Zhongjiu actually didn't show up. Looks like my clothes have shocked him quite a bit. Hee. After Ling Yan stood up, she immediately changed into a black martial robe. It was loose and long. Looking at her appearance, she was usually a lively girl. Since these people have nothing to do, I might as well organize an autumn camp activity. The herbs near the blazing mountain should be ripe. Let them go and play. The blazing mountain was a more colloquial name in the outside world. This blazing mountain was called the incandescent mountain. The incandescent mountain had originally been an ordinary mountain range. However, a meteorite had suddenly fallen from the sky and landed directly in the incandescent mountain range. Furthermore, the meteorite had become the core of the incandescent mountain. It was said that the temperature at the core of the incandescent mountain could easily melt even a Yuan monarch elite. However, the strange thing was that this temperature could only melt flesh and blood. All other types of energy could exist. Therefore, there were some rather powerful spiritual herbs that contained fire elemental energy growing beside the meteorite. In addition, some fire elemental beasts with extremely high tolerance also directly used the power of the incandescent mountain to cultivate. If a Yuan Zhong elite got close to the incandescent mountain, they would definitely feel the scorching heat within 1,000 meters. If they got close to the incandescent mountain, they would start to feel uncomfortable. This high temperature was like staying in a medicinal cauldron and suffering. If they got close to the incandescent mountain, they would probably die from the heat. There was no way to get close to the incandescent mountain without a proper method. The Heavenly Star Medicine Hall wanted to obtain these fire elemental herbs. At the same time, they also wanted to achieve the effect of training the abilities of their students. Therefore, they would let these students personally pick the herbs. The most shameful thing was that this was a glorified name. Extracurricular activities. Extracurricular activities had a special characteristic. Those who didn't have a mission weren't allowed to participate. After all, there were still some restrictions after joining the academy. Chapter 336. Li Zhongjie swallowed a 5-soul essence pill. Suddenly, he felt his soul grow stronger, as if he had been enlightened. The effect of the 5-soul essence pill was still very significant among the 4th-grade pills. However, no matter how rich a person was, it was difficult for them to be like Li Zhongjie, who ate these pills as if they were jelly beans without feeling any heartache. Even Yang Xuelin, as a level 5 alchemist, would need at least half a month to prepare to refine the 5-soul origin pill. Even if she was prepared, she would need to spend a lot of time to recuperate her body after the refinement was completed. After all, in the case of alchemy, the body's meridians were like a fuse, constantly sending the fire elemental energy into the medicine cauldron. Therefore, it was also a great loss to the body's meridians. No one could continuously refine pills for a long time, unless they didn't want to live. Then they could try it. Li Zhongjie, with the help of the Azura cauldron, directly refined 50 pills in one furnace. The same time, but the efficiency was completely different. This was also the difference between a high-level alchemist and an ordinary alchemist. If an ordinary alchemist wanted to reach such a cultivation level, it would take at least 100 years of accumulation. Geniuses were just geniuses, but those real masters, with hundreds of years of alchemy experience, were not just for show. Even if there was a slight difference, it could have a huge impact on the overall effect of the alchemy. After refining a 5-soul essence pill, Li Zhongjie also felt that his mental strength had improved a lot. To a certain extent, the blood-spirit world also relies on mental strength and the accumulation of killing intent. With my many years of killing experience, my understanding of the blood-spirit world is higher than that of the blood dragon sovereign. Therefore, improving my mental strength is the best way. Li Zhongjie thought. Mental energy was very important, so Li Zhongjie had never slacked off. The vast flying knife in his hand was constantly enhancing Li Zhongjie's Jin Xingli, so his cultivation speed had also increased. Now isn't the time to train in the infernal prajna technique. As for the comprehension of the black bat sword, I'll have to wait for a good opportunity in the future. My physical strength still has a lot of room for improvement. Li Zhongjie calculated. It was extremely difficult to solve the difficult questions in the Genius Pavilion and reach the 14th level in one go. At the very least, one's overall strength had to be at least a grade 7 or even grade 8 Yuan ancestor. Otherwise, the exhaustion of solving a difficult question would be sufficient to exhaust one's strength. This was not as simple as doing a test paper. Instead, it was a kind of empty world, and people were in it. One needed to use one's strength to continuously deduce. One could imagine that it was a process of using one's mind to neatly arrange a pile of thousands of kilograms of stones in front of one's body. In the process of deduction, one would consume one's physical strength, mental energy, and even one's soul. Therefore, one would be extremely tired. At the same time, if one wanted to solve the question smoothly, one would need to find the right direction of deduction. If the direction was wrong, it would be a waste of time. Li Zongjio grasped all the directions of deduction, so he could easily deduce. However, at the same time, Li Zongjio's current strength was still insufficient, so he could not directly solve the question. Some idiots thought that their strength was not bad, and that their talent was not bad, so they foolishly rushed into the genius pavilion, as if they were prepared to solve the difficult questions and make a name for themselves. However, they did not know that if this continued, it would only be a waste of time. At least in the eyes of a sovereign like Li Zongjio, it was a waste of time. After refining a 5-soul essence pill, Li Zongjio continued to immerse himself in the cultivation process of the white god Fu. He was always in a state of cultivation. On one side, Li Zongjio was focused on cultivation. On the other side, Beiho Liang, who was trembling with fear, did not dare to go out at all these days. Even now, he seemed to have heard the news that an inescapable net had been set up outside, waiting to deal with him, Beiho Liang. In addition, Li Zongjio had given him the task of collecting information, and it was not easy for him to collect this information. Now he only hoped to send this information to Li Zongjio as soon as possible. Although it was not very complete, it was not that there was nothing. Otherwise, if the ruthless Li Zongjio came to find him, Beiho Liang would be completely dead. He had never imagined that he, the great Beiho Liang, would actually end up in such a state. Beiho Liang did not directly look for Li Zongjio. After all, facing Li Zongjio would give him an oppressive and sinister feeling. Fortunately, there was something like a mailbox in the Heavenly Day Medicine Manor. After all, there were many times when you wanted to find someone, but that person might not necessarily be waiting for you there. Therefore, the mailbox function was very useful. After packing everything up, he sent it to Li Zongjio's personal mailbox. He just happened to see someone come over and write something on the board of the Heavenly Day A-class male dormitory. Beiho Liang stopped and looked for a while. His eyes immediately widened. What? There's an extracurricular activity tomorrow, and it's going to the White Blaze Mountain? This extracurricular activity had been initiated by the Heavenly Day A-class homeroom teacher, and it had received a response very quickly. It was also a good opportunity to let the new students know how amazing the Heavenly Day Medicine Manor was. It could also be considered a lesson for the new students. It was worth mentioning that this time, there would also be a small-scale scoring competition. In the end, the top 10 who collected the herbs would be rewarded with points. These points were something that everyone coveted. After all, it was related to the ranking of the alchemy master role. No one would think that their skills were inferior to others. In fact, they would even think that they had a chance. As long as they were under certain conditions, or within a certain period of time, they would have a chance to turn things around. At the very least, they would have to make their ranking look better. Oh no, there's going to be an outdoor activity. Wouldn't that be dangerous? Beiho Liang was also thinking about whether he should pretend to be sick and ask for leave. After all, once he was outdoors, he might be targeted by that night lone moon. What's more, the White Blaze Mountain was outside the city. The risk factor was greatly increased. I have to hurry and think of a way. Beiho Liang hurriedly left and realized that the announcement had already been written below his dormitory. News of this matter would probably spread out very soon. Lone Moon Manor. At this moment, that night lone moon was already speechless. He sent out close to 20 experts, but in the end, not a single one returned. 20 people can't catch one person. All of you can kill yourselves. Yi Lone Moon waved his hand. He was already completely helpless towards these people under him. Even if all of them died in front of him, he would not even blink. Young master, calm down. Now there is a heaven-sent opportunity in front of us. Yes, we just received news that the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor will organize an outdoor activity tomorrow. We have already found out the location. It's at the White Blaze Mountain. Yes, the White Blaze Mountain. Young master, we just need to set it up well. There will definitely be no problem. All the staff members were excited. Otherwise, this night Lone Moon would really kill. Tomorrow is your last chance. If it doesn't work, then all of you can go to hell. All of you get lost. Yi Lone Moon waved his hand and ordered the people in front of him to leave. Then he paced back and forth in the room. Finally, he also smacked his hands. It's useless to rely on these useless people. Looks like I have to make a trip to Big Sister. Chapter 337. Li Zongjio received this information from the mailbox. Someone specially came to remind him, so Li Zongjio was able to get it. Otherwise, he would have stayed in this room and continued to cultivate the White God Fu. Yi clan, I'll start with you. Faced with this kind of provocation, no one could tolerate it, let alone Li Zongjio. How could he let these people step on Li Zongjio's head and make a scene? Therefore, Li Zongjio naturally took action. He looked through the information. Boyu Casino? It just so happens that I've been a little poor recently. Although the information found by Beiho Liang was not very secret, it was more accurate than some of the information in the market. There were also some deeper information that was dug out. For example, this Boyu Casino was one of the more obscure businesses of the Yi clan. Usually, it was under other people's names, but when it came to paying, it was handed over to the Boyu Casino. Because Beiho Liang often went to the casino to take care of it, he more or less heard about it. This Boyu Casino was considered a relatively large gold medal casino in Royal City. Opening a casino required a license, and this license had to be divided into grades. The gold medal casino was the highest grade. Just the amount of money that was bet on this stage every day was often an extremely terrifying number. In order to encourage these gamblers to bet crazily, they would often come up with some gimmicks to attract some gamblers who came to visit. Since they had already come to this casino, how could they not gamble? Moreover, they would often give out some benefits. For example, they would give away 2,000 if they bet 10,000. In the end, even if they lost, they would still give some compensation, so that they would not feel that they had suffered a loss. Tonight, the Boyu Casino was also holding a Pai Gao tournament. At the same time, they also invited a beautiful gambler from the Pai Gao world to appear. This increased the enthusiasm of these gamblers. Have you heard? Tonight, the Heavenly Queen of 9 Victories will open at the Boyu Casino. Whoever wins against her will have no problem sleeping with her. There's such a good thing, we must go and see. Yes, I heard that tonight there will definitely be a gathering of experts. Let's go together. When night fell, the Broad Delight Casino was already a hubbub of voices. All sorts of banners were hung at the side, and the same name was written on them. 9 Victories Heavenly Queen. It was said that the Empress of 9 Victories had exquisite gambling skills, and was extremely beautiful. Anyone who saw her would drool with desire. Who would have thought that such a stunningly beautiful woman would actually appear in the Broad Joy Casino? It seemed that the Broad Joy Casino had invested quite a bit of capital in order to improve their performance. Li Zongjio raised his head and glanced at the Great Pleasure Casino. The signboard hanging high outside was not the word casino, but Joy Golden Manor. First of all, the first floor was an ordinary gambling hall. All kinds of gambling methods were laid out on the table. As long as you were interested, you could sit down and gamble at the opening of the hall. In the area on the second floor, there were private rooms. Generally, some big shots or rich people would form a card game here. In addition to satisfying their cravings, more importantly, they would come here to discuss some matters. Moreover, there were many polite guards standing at the staircase of the second floor. Ordinary people were not allowed to enter and exit as they pleased. This way, it would immediately appear that they were of high status. Such treatment was naturally good. It seems that it's not easy to meet the owner. Li Zongjio originally wanted to directly kill his way in. But seeing that there were so many people at the scene, wouldn't it be better to kill everyone? Moreover, these people were now in a state of excitement. Who knew if they would cause trouble? However, when it came to robbing, it was still faster to gamble on the spot. Give me 100 gold coins worth of chips. Li Zongjio handed over a gold coin deposit check. It was not easy for him to save this money. Because it was in the corner of his storage ring, he did not find it immediately. Now it was just in time to save him. Here you go. A small palm yellow sign was pushed out from the window. The number 100 was printed on the sign. It was exactly 100 gold coins. The people who came here to play included ordinary people, as well as high-level people. The moves of the high-level people were naturally different. But for these ordinary people, the denomination of 100 gold coins was enough. Li Zongjio threw the chips in his hand, and casually sat in front of a gambling table. Oh, such a young child also came to gamble. Hee hee little guy, you can't go wrong if you follow your uncle and buy big. After saying that, the other party also threw out a few thousand gold coins as chips, and then waited expectantly for the dealer to open. The rest of the people also placed their bets. The game in front of them was dice. They could guess the number, and also buy big or small. There were a total of 3 dice, so the winning rate was relatively high. It gave more people a chance to fight for a chance to turn things around. The multiplier would be different depending on the number of points. For example, with 3 sixes, the odds were 100 times. Li Zongjio didn't even think, and directly put his chips on the 3 sixes. Everyone knew that the dealer could set whatever time he wanted. Therefore, when people bought, they tried their best not to deliberately win. To bet on such a multiplier was simply a fool. The dealer in charge of shaking the dice didn't care. After a while, after everyone placed their bets, he began to shake the dice in his hand. Big, big, big. Small, small, small. Li Zongjio sat there, and seemed to be inconspicuous. Soon he was drowned out by the noise. The dealer also slammed the dice in his hand on the table. With his many years of experience, this round was definitely a leopard. 3 twos. No one at the scene bet on the leopard. Only a fool bet on 3 sixes. Although these 3 sixes appeared occasionally, the probability of winning was too low. When the movement stopped, the surrounding people seemed to be even more excited. The corner of the dealer's mouth raised slightly. Place your bets open. The moment the dice appeared, the dealer was already ready to collect the money on the table. However, the surrounding people were in an uproar. What? Oh my god, this dog shit luck is too good. Fuck, is this for real? The dealer's heart was also a little proud. Although 3 twos weren't very easy to shake, with his ability, it naturally wasn't a problem. These people didn't need to be so surprised. A little worship was enough. He actually opened 3 sixes 100 times. This kid's dog shit luck is too good. 100 bets for 10,000, what fucking luck. What 3 sixes? The dealer himself was also shocked. But when he lowered his head to look, his expression changed. How was this possible? The 3 dice in his hand were all sixes. Not a single 2. How was this possible? How could something go wrong with his own hands? But this was the reality. However, on the surface the dealer still won. After all, Li Zongjio only bet 100 gold coins. The rest of the people were all killed. Fortunately, nothing went wrong. If Li Zongjio had bet 10,000 gold yuan at this moment, then the situation would be terrible. It was equivalent to losing 1,000,000 gold yuan on this platform. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.